Welcome back to Call to the Pen on the Hammer Betting Network, guys. Today we have a loaded show for you today. We got our season preview. We got our division preview. We're going to go through every single division, tell you who we like, who we don't like. We're going to look at the AL, the NL. We're going to look at who's going to win the pennant. We're going to look at player futures. We're going to look at awards futures. We got everything for you here today. I am your host, Jason Cooper, alongside Alex Moretto, Director of Content for the Hammer Betting Network. We also have Joe Osborne, host of Chasing That Paper, every Monday through Friday on Vegas Insider. And also we have John Laghezza. So be sure to check him out on Twitter. Put his name right there at John Laghezza. Guys, how's it going today?
Good. Pumped for the season to get started here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, seriously, I've been sharpening this axe, getting ready to chop down this tree for a couple months now. And we're here. You know, like, people have been asking me to do all these radio spots, guest spots, and you send me an outline. At this point for me, there is no getting ready. I'm staying ready. Like, that's it. You know, it's game.
We excited to see those new rules in effect?
I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of it's probably been overblown because we've had too much time to talk about them. But I think steals are going to be up. And I think you're going to see some balls get through the, right hand of the right side of the shift. Like, that's going to happen. There's a reason those rules are in effect. But overall, these guys are professionals. Like, the pitch clock is almost an afterthought to me at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And before we get started on today's show, guys, I want to quickly let you guys know that we have a special announcement. If you follow us on Twitter, you already know what happened. But if you're not following us on Twitter, go follow us on Twitter. We have John Laghezza every single day, Monday through Friday, from March 30th to the end of the MLB season. We will be doing a daily live pick show. John giving out his best bets, and we are absolutely pumped to have him. So before we get started, guys, remember, subscribe so you can be notified whenever we go live with John for his daily best bets. So without further ado, guys, let's get things started. And to start things off, we're going to start with the AL East. And I'm from Toronto, so I think you guys know where my bias is going to be in the AL East, and probably the strongest division in baseball for the last decade or so. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the division. Do you think the Yankees are going to be the guys this year, or do you think the Jays can sneak up past them? John, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm a tremendous Yankee fan, but really, don't get it wrong. I've been vocally upset about them as they've been jettisoning starting pitchers the last 12 months. And listen, it's come back and haunted them. Man, can you think of two pitchers the Yankees probably wish they had? I don't know. Let's think of two names. How about Jordan Montgomery? How about Hayden Wesneski? Two guys the Yankees got rid of. They got back, 2 sacks of oranges and Scott Efros, which is just not moving the needle for us right now going into a tough season. So I'm not sure why the Yankees are the favorite. Maybe they should be a slight favorite. I think the bet, if you're going to make it, has got to be on the Blue Jays. They're stacked. They were really, really hot as the season ended. One of those teams you got the feeling if the season was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks longer, like they get in and do damage. They have all the pieces. And maybe more importantly, when you're betting futures, you want to be with teams that are going to be adding at the All-Star break. I've kind of made that mistake before, trying to go over, let's say, game totals on bad teams. Let's say they're pacing it. Then they sell off everybody and they don't get the total. So the Blue Jays also are a team they've shown to be aggressive via trade. They'll also, move pieces around. They're going to bring guys up. Somebody like Tiedemann, we know they have some skill players waiting in the wings. So I think it's the Blue Jays in this division. The Rays just don't really have the offensive punch. And my Yankees, unless they bring in at least 1 or 2 arms, maybe more, I just think they're going to fall short as far as pitching goes. And I love the Yankees. Don't get me wrong. When Cole's on there, they're going to be favorites. I don't think they're trash, but I don't think they have the pitching depth. Domingo Germán is not going to be able to run with the 5s on a lot of good teams.
Yeah, Alex, do you have any thoughts on the Yankees and the Jays? Do you think maybe you're looking at another team in this division like the Rays, or I guess the Red Sox and Orioles are almost dead? But yeah, do you like the Rays at all, or you just sticking with the Blue Jays over the Yankees?
Yeah, first of all, missed opportunity to not wear my Jays hat. I'm not sure what I was thinking there, but we live and learn. For me, it is the Blue Jays in this division, just for a lot of what John said. I think that the injuries that are already, they're starting off, Montes, Severino, Rodon, these guys are not going to start the season with the team. I just think that these pitching injuries are a bit of a problem, and it's tough to count on them. I think an under on their win total is kind of where I lean. It's just you see 95.5 pretty much across the board. It's a pretty high number. It's going to be, tough to reach that pinnacle with some of the guys they're relying on. The health concerns, like Rizzo's already, had some back injuries this spring. I mean, you got guys like Stanton and Hicks and Donaldson who have injury histories. I'm just not sure how many of these guys you can truly rely on. It feels like, full health, this team is like, right up there with the Astros, one of the best teams in the AL. But then you start factoring in those health concerns, and I think the floor is a lot lower than we kind of realized for this team, especially, in a bit of a tougher division. The Orioles are on the up and coming. I don't mind some stabs on the Orioles, maybe even to make the playoffs. Not sure about the win total. I think the range of outcomes is pretty wide, but I think, if you can get some Orioles to make the playoffs, like plus 350, plus 390, something like that, not a bad look either. But I'm not betting the Jays to win this division, but for me, they're kind of the team I feel safest backing if I had to make a play here.
Yeah, fair enough. And I know Joe Osborne's a massive Jays fan. Being
right behind me.
There it is, right
Carter,
there.
93 walk-off, one of the most underrated hits in the history of sports. The American company, ESPN and whatnot, they'll do the top home runs of all time. That won't even make the top 5. For God's sakes, if Jeter hit that at Yankee Stadium, we'd never hear the end of it.
Never.
It's a walk-up home run to win the World Series, for God's sakes. It's so underrated. It's ridiculous. But yes, I am a hardcore Blue Jays fan. I can't wait to get up to Rogers Center and see the new renovations they made this season. However, I do like the Yankees over the Jays in this division. And let's not forget about the Rays. Not a whole lot of sexiness there, but they're always going to be competitive. But I take a look at the Yankees, and the Yankees are a great regular season team. Playoffs, different story, right? They got the weight of the world on their backs once the playoffs get here. I bet I do like for the Yankees. With that said, I could see them having the best regular season record, right around plus 850. That's the same odds as they have to win the World Series. You take a look at the Yankees from last year, and one stat that really stands out to me is that they were 27 in batting average and balls in play. And they still scored a lot of runs, right? I think it was the 4th most in baseball. So maybe a little bit of bad luck. So maybe they'll get a few more bounces here this season. But yeah, I like the Yankees to win the division. Is it a bet I'm going to make at plus 130? No. But I think the Blue Jays will be right there with them. I'm excited about the addition of Chris Bassett. You never know what you're going to get with the bullpen. Romano, rock solid closer for the most part. And the Jays have a ton of depth, too. You don't have to worry about one injury completely derailing them. Mm-hmm. If Judge isn't healthy for the Yankees, though, I think that could be a concern, with the other guys. But, if they're healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees are the best regular season team in baseball this season.
I think it helps the Yankees too that, this new schedule this year where you're not playing in the division as much, right? So these guys, these AL East teams aren't going to be able to beat up on each other for 162 games. They're going to get to, they're going to get to play a lot more games against the AL Central and some of these other teams. Yeah. So I think, betting these win totals, you got to kind of take that into effect as well.
I think speaking of the AL, go ahead, John.
All right, I just wanted to tackle on one thing for people. Again, if they're going to be sticking around with me for the entire season, we're going to be doing a lot of betting, which hopefully is a lot of winning, but also there's some losing involved in here. So it's all about sustainability and kind of being smart. And I really like to push that kind of stuff, sustainability. If you're going to be betting on the Yankees, as a favorite, let them lose a few games. They're hurt right now. That number's not going anywhere, right? It's not going to get any better. Like it's only going to get worse. So wait for it. That kind of kills me. People do the same thing in game. They bet like minus 310 on the Jays or the Yankees. Wait for them to be down 1-0, 2-0. That number moves like minus 130 in the first inning. It's the same exact game. So there's really no need to press for favorites. You'll see when I start putting out on my my futures tickets, they're usually littered with long shots because you've got to bake in injuries as well when we talk about these things. So I want to make sure that, I'm not like, oh, we bet everywhere without really laying out, stuff like that. You also hear me talk about win-loss totals. I'm never going to hang my money on the line for 6 months for minus 110. Like, not ever. It's just not happening.
I did that about 10 times already this year. So
I'm not saying that it can't win. And I guess maybe sometimes I'm too assertive and I'm trying to say that I'm like, right, you're wrong. And it's just different, right? There's 1,000 ways to skin that cat without scratching his butthole. But at the end of the day, you got to do what works for you. And I feel like as somebody who likes to bet plus odds in the first place, like I'm looking to get plus 120 tonight. I don't want to get minus 110 6 months from now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Totally
Very fair. Very fair. And the Yankees right now sitting, according to Pinnacle, at plus 100 to win that
That's
division.
silly. That's silly.
Yeah.
That's silly.
Yeah. But if you shop around, guys, remember, always shop around, like Joe Osborne said, upwards of 130. But again, that seems like that's a no play for us. Any other bets you guys like? I know Moretto, you mentioned Orioles to make the playoffs, but any other bets from this division that you're looking at, or you guys good with that there?
You want to laugh? I got a good one because it's a win-loss total. I haven't bet it, but I do like it, and it's interesting because generally, especially in the AL East, public narrative kind of drives a lot of these prices. Like I get it. The Boston Red Sox, I actually think, are being shortchanged, right? You wouldn't expect that from me. I'm supposed to hate them, though they didn't replace like the generational talent that they've got rid of, which I get. I think they're a little bit better than people give them credit for. You know what's funny? We're kind of seeing the cards up front. Right, like the cards that they're showing us, this pitching staff looks old and kind of broken. James Paxton, we're like, what is this? The underlying pitchers under there are pretty good. Like if you get a healthy dose of Whitlock, Tanner Houck, and like Brian Bayo, these guys are good. The Boston bullpen has also been a disaster. Kelly Jansen, I think, is fine. He's dehydrated. I'm not worried about him. He's fine. He's also really good. And I do all the diagnostic stuff, my rankings, or whatever. The velo is good. The pitch shape is good. He's good. So if they're closing games and the offense is decent in a good ballpark and the pitching might be just better than we think. I saw that line at like 77. I'm not saying they're great. I just think they're a 500 team. So I haven't laid the minus 110. But I think Boston's a little bit better than the public is giving them credit for at the outset.
I love Whitlock. Pavetta's underlying numbers are really nice too.
Listen, per inning, those guys are good. Per inning basis, they're very good.
The lineup just concerns me a little bit. Relying on guys like Duvall, what are you going to get for sure from Casas? You know what I mean? Like Yoshida's first season over here. I have decent hopes for him. I feel like there's, kind of a wide range of outcomes there. Justin Turner batting third. I don't know. I'm a little unsold on this team, and then playing in this division.
I'm a fantasy geek. I'm like, all those guys. He's a good hitter. Yeah, like that's a good Duvall. The way remember again, a lot of as we've seen the ball change, a lot of the dynamics of the game have changed, and where now there are two types of powers we're going to get at. Like there's this big hulking power, right? Yeah, Jordan Alvarez hits home runs, but now it's players that actually pull their elevated fly balls, right? Guys that pull fly ball line drives. You're going to get a lot of that in Boston, man. Turner and Duvall are set to not only hit like 30 dongs, but also a hit for average, like plus average in a 245 age, like to hit 280.
Yeah, to hit 275, 280 is big now, right?
And again, I don't like the Red Sox, but I think they plugged in a lot of individual pieces with hitters that kind of reach. Casas is an on-base machine. He looks really good this offseason. Yoshida looked phenomenal. He's definitely did not look overmatched in a World Baseball Classic. Nope. So, yeah, I just think the arrow is probably like jiggling up where I was worried it was kind of like circling the drain. I don't feel that way about Boston.
Yeah, and it really felt like the sky was falling for the Red Sox fans last season. And like you said, John, that win total, according to Pinnacle, sitting at 77.5, shading the under, actually. So,
really?
maybe, yeah. So, but Fangraphs has them at 83 wins. So, Joe, you have any bets you like for this for the AL East? Or
two, an over under and a player prop. I like the Orioles to go over their win total. I get it at over 76.5. Now, massive jump for them last season. They finished the season with 83 wins. You could probably argue that they did overachieve a little bit, but I think perhaps more than any other team in all of Major League Baseball, they could be the team that benefits most from the schedule shakeup. 24 fewer divisional games, so that's a lot less games versus the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Rays. And they finished strong too, 4 games above 500 in the second half. Maybe we see them pick up where they left off. Not a whole lot of sexiness here with the Orioles. Gunnar Henderson, hot new rookie. That's one that people will keep an eye on. But yeah, I think that they're maybe being undervalued a little bit. And I like the over on the 76.5 wins. Now something a little sexier, minus 110 bet for 6 months, as John alluded to, not the funnest type of bet for the casual. If you're betting $50, $100, a lot of people don't like hanging up their money for 6 months for a minus 110 bet. But something a little sexier here. There's nothing sexier than the home run in baseball, right? And what about the regular season home run leader, Vladdy Jr., 11-1? And a couple big reasons for this. As you guys probably know, the fences moved in at Rogers Center. This could become the American League's answer to Coors Field here in 2023. Already a decent hitter's ballpark, Rogers Center, right? So the walls moved in. And people forget how young this guy is. I need to double check. He just turned 24 years old. It seems like he's been around forever, right? And it's probably because, he is the prodigy and whatnot. He proved in 2021, one of the best home run hitters in baseball, 48 home runs. And here's the thing. He's extremely durable. He's missed 3 total games over the past 2 seasons. If you look at the guys ahead of him on this list, are you comfortable betting Aaron Judge to be the home run leader in baseball, given his injury history? Probably not. Mike Trout has been beat up a ton. Kyle Schwarber, kind of inconsistent, right? And he's behind all those guys on that odds board for a regular season home run. So Vladdy Jr., 11-1. I like that. I think worth taking a swing on.
I like that. You're looking at pretty much the same price for him to win MVP too. And I'd much rather back him in the home run market than the MVP market, just because MVP you're going up against Ohtani, right? And that's his to lose no matter what. And I mean, he can, if he leads the league in home runs, this doesn't mean he's going to win MVP still, right? There's still a path to him, hitting 45 dingers, and he doesn't provide the defense, and he's still not going to win MVP. So you're getting pretty much the same price. I'd much rather back him in that home run market than the MVP market. I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and at 11-1, it's a good number and a sexy number, like you said. And I want to go back to the win totals that you mentioned. It seems like all these teams in this division are probably going to benefit like that. We already have two guys picking the overs for both the Red Sox and the Orioles. Alex, I think I don't think we got to you on the bets. Do you have any last bets to place here? Anyone else have any last bets to place here before we get to our projected order of the finish for the division?
This is pretty much my quietest division in terms of futures. I have very little going on in the AL East. It's just too many question marks, I think.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then we'll get to where you guys think each team will finish in the division. Guys, quickly, Joe Osborne, let's start with you. Let's list off first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Who you got and where? Yankees,
Blue Jays, Rays, Orioles, Red Sox. Red Sox will finish last, and their fans are going to riot.
Just that thought in my head makes me laugh. John, who you got? Oh, I think
we got you on mute.
I got to think Toronto up top. Then, man, it's like Yankees and Rays, 1A, 1B. I just think they both nullify each other, schedule or not. And the same for the Orioles and the Red Sox. I both think they finish with, right around 500, whether you're fourth or fifth. I think they're all – I think everybody is a 78-win team or better, because that's where I think you made a really great point about them. It's that rising tide of the schedule is going to rise all those boats, because they're probably going to be picking on all the central teams all year long, right? All of a sudden, the Rays look a lot better matched up against the Pirates than they do against even the Red Sox. So it's really close to me. I think the most important thing is I think it's Toronto at the top.
That's what I like to hear. And Alex?
Yeah, I'll go Toronto on that. I'll say the Rays and Yankees finish tied at like 90 wins in second here. I think Springs, Rasmussen, man, I really like what the Rays are doing with this pitching staff. If they can get guys like Curtis Mead and Manzardo to come in and make contributions, some young players in the lineup, I think that they can get that second spot. So I'll Jays, Rays, Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox.
Yeah, I got something similar to that too. I thought I'd be the only one taking the Jays, but it seems like we got a lot of people on board for that one. So yeah, Jays, Yankees, Rays, Red Sox, and the Orioles. All right, well, moving on to the AL Central, guys. Last year, the Guardians kind of ran away with it. Markets look to be trending that way, but Fangraphs kind of says otherwise. The White Sox also dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Is there any team you think might surprise us out of that top 3 cluster in the AL Central? John, let's start with you.
This division is really close. I mean, I think if anyone was going to surprise, it's probably the Twins, because I think they probably made the biggest upgrade. But I worry about the durability on offense. I didn't think they really had the depth in the first place. They already had a bunch of kind of injury-prone guys. Not that I like to worry too much about that, but they're injured now, right? So when guys are injured now, it's okay to think they're injured. And even the guys on deck, I like to think about that for talking futures is, what does the next wave look like? And even like a Royce Lewis, who they could use at a shortstop, has just had so much trouble staying on the field. He has multiple serious knee injuries. He's just coming off another fresh one. So that's my worry about the Twins. But if you're asking, I think that's probably the surprise, because the temperature in the betting market, people are not really hot in Twins. It just feels like they're going about it like it's kind of ho-hum. And I think the starting rotation is really good, right, Nez?
Mm-hmm.
As bettors, that's how I like to look at it. What is it going to look like on a nightly basis? And on a nightly basis, they're going to be looking like favorites. Pablo Lopez is going to be a favorite or, no more than a slight dog. Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan's a favorite. Tyler Mahle, and Kenta Maeda looks good. None of these pitchers are going to be, let's call it, more than a plus 135 dog on any given night. So that means the Twins are going to be fighting for it every single night, and the bullpen's not bad. So I think that's probably the surprise. The White Sox, I think, are just healthy now, and if they stay healthy, that was the big problem last year. They'll be good. And Cleveland is what it is. I think that's the new wave. They kind of understand what I was talking about before. Power is changing. You don't have to Hulk your way to it. You can use speed and contact with pulled fly balls because that's the answer to it. The Cardinals are the same way. So I do think the Guardians still take down the division because I think the pitching is the best, but it's also hanging by a thread. How's McKenzie? I don't know.
Yeah, and fair enough. And the Twins made some pretty big acquisitions in getting Joey Gallo and shoring up their catcher position with Christian Vasquez. But any team you think might disappoint then, Alex, or you think you think there could be like maybe the White Sox kind of, I guess, already did last year with their injuries, but are you like worried about any other team, or are you kind of in the same boat as John here, where you're kind of just leaning towards the Twins, but the Guardians might get it done?
I mean, John took my whole Twin spiel. I'm pretty much, I'm pretty high on the Twins. I was high on the Twins last year. I was cruising towards cashing those win totals. Even the division bets, injuries just completely derailed their season. I think they're better equipped to handle those injuries this year if they were to happen again, because they do have a lot of guys with that history. So, you can see guys like Buxton and stuff going down. Polanco's already hurt right now. They have a bit more depth though this year. They brought in some guys where I think they're going to be able to handle those a little bit more if that same thing happens. The rotation is way deeper. John mentioned they're starting 5. They even got guys like Bailey Ober and Cole Sands that can come in if any of those guys go down. Mahle, I don't know if Malle's going to give you 200 innings, but you get the 150. You replace like another 50 of those with Bailey Ober. Like, they got a lot of really nice arms. They have a lot more depth. I'm really high on this team. I tweeted this out back in like February, but I got some like plus 350 for them to win the division. I think like the best you can kind of get now is like 260. I'm still taking that. I like their over 82 wins quite a bit. I think the ceiling for this team is pretty high in this AL Central. I really like them. In terms of disappoint, I'm not high on the White Sox. I don't think that, we're going to snap a finger and everything's going to magically be better with this team. New manager, the clubhouse. They were saying the clubhouse was an issue last year. I just can't buy into this team. I don't think they're as deep. Their lineup's as deep as we think. Losing Jose Abreu's big. Even if Andrew Vaughn can, kind of fill those shoes a bit. I like Vaughn. I don't know if he's going to give you the same sort of production. Guys like Benintendi, is Eloy going to stay healthy? Is Robert finally going to stay healthy? Moncada's really been struggling. I'm not huge on this team. I don't buy the Giolito bounce back. Cease is, a much better fantasy pitcher, I think, than he is a real life pitcher. I'm not crazy about this team. I think that under 83.5 wins, that's something I think it's down to 83.5 now. That's something I'd still take.
Okay. I like that. And Joe, you think you agree with that with the White Sox here, or you have a different answer? No?
Unfortunately, some disagreement here. I like the White Sox coming into this season. If they were in the AL East or NL East, I probably wouldn't like them a whole lot. But I do think this is a fairly shallow division. They have the 3rd best odds to win the division. I think they're offering pretty good value. I'm seeing them here at plus 250 right now. You can't really measure it, but there was just a ton of negative morale with this team. Apparently, they hated playing for Tony La Russa, who turned out to be just an embarrassing hire for, like, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that was falling asleep, and that's embarrassing, man. Like, you shouldn't. How a guy approaching his late 70s, you bring him in to coach a sport that has a 162 game regular season. Made no sense, and it really backfired, and it really set them back, I think. So you combine that with, every team has injury issues, but they got completely derailed by injuries. Anderson, Robert, Jimenez all failed to reach a 100 game mark last season. I don't know about the Giolito bounce back either, but I think this is a division that they can be competitive in. And at plus 250, I think they're worth a shot to win the division here.
You know what? This just means we're giving out at least one winner. One winner
on this
show.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And it shows it's not nothing pre-planned here. Just straight from the heart. All right. Let's just dive right into the best bets. You guys have any best bets for this division? I know, Alex, I'm going to guess that. Let's start with you. I'm going to guess the White Sox under wins is probably one of them, but any other best bets here?
Yeah. White Sox under wins, Twins over wins. If you can get an 82.5, even if it's a bit juice, I don't mind that. And then Twins to win the division. Probably if you can get like plus 250 or better, that's good for me. I know there's definitely still some plus 250s around. I think even right now we're looking at plus 260 at Bet365. Just shop around. I saw plus 300 this weekend, Bet Victor. So there's definitely some options.
Yeah, it looks like the Twins over getting smashed on Pinnacle, minus 145 right now at 82.5 wins. So yeah, John, what about you? Any best bets here?
I mean, yeah, it would have been Twins over, but I can't pay 145. That's like,
yeah,
that's just been ridiculous. Like move the line, move the line at least.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
You could probably shop around.
It would be Twins over, yeah.
Yeah, shop around, maybe find a better price there. I'm just referencing from Pinnacle here.
But again, to what I mentioned before, whoever I like, just let it start to shake out, man. 30 days in MLB in the grand scheme of things is not really anything at all. Doesn't really matter. Right? A couple years ago, the Nats, people wrote them off at the halfway point. They ended up winning the World Series. Just people overreact. Betting markets in particular overreact. Anybody that you like that the price is like, just let it happen. In 30 days, the price is probably going to move in your direction. There's no way that these things are going to become like total smashes in the other way. I don't know. I just have a hard time with that. 145 for a win total is too much.
Yeah, fair enough. And Joe, anything else you like other than the White Sox to win the division here?
Yeah, player prop. I took Byron Buxton a couple weeks ago. They had his home run total set at 31.5, and the under was at minus 120, and I jumped all over that, and it's almost entirely due to his injury history. This is Major League Baseball's answer to Zion Williamson, a guy with all the talent in the world who's always hurt. You don't hear about load managing very often in Major League Baseball, but he was on a load management plan last season that could carry into this season. Off to a slow start in spring already. He's never played 100 games once in a season. He's never hit 30 home runs once in a season. Definitely capable of it. He was on a great pace last season. He had 28 home runs in 92 games. That's really good. But I just doubt that he's capable of staying healthy. Is he going to get healthier with age? Maybe he's due to play in, 140 games or something. But I think not a bad shot there at minus 120 under 31.5.
Yeah, that's all I ever hear about Buxton. Pace. It's always his pace because you got to talk about his pace because he's never on the field.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can figure that out though, but hopefully not crush that home run bet for you. So, anyways, let's move on to the projected order of finish, guys. Who do you got finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Alex, we'll start with you.
I'll go Twins, Guardians, White Sox, Royals, Tigers.
John?
Yeah, I have the same. Like, I think the top two teams both get in. I think Cleveland and Minnesota both get in. So, whether or not Minnesota is ahead by a game or not, I think those are going to be the two teams really, really duking it out all the way.
Yeah. And Joe?
I'll go White Sox, Guardians, Twins, Tigers, and then Royals. I think the Tigers, could take a tiny step forward, maybe. They were a bit of a disappointment for a crappy team. They were, when's the rebuild going to get going here, guys? Yeah. But we won't spend a lot of time on the Tigers. But I think the Tigers might be just a little bit better this season.
Fair enough. And
it's a really tough team. They're actually a really tough team. I was talking about that with a couple of guys at The Athletic. We have no idea, maybe more so than any other team in the entire league. We have no idea what we're going to get from this pitching staff. And apples to apples, there's quite a bit of talent, right? Eduardo Rodriguez is not a bad pitcher. He had a really kind of wild off-season, off-field kind of stuff going on. I don't know. I just know it was described as personal, and it cost him an entire season. He had COVID problems. Now he's back, and he looks pretty good. Matthew Boyd, same thing. We've seen legit glimpses of brilliance from Matthew Boyd. Not a bum. We've seen him look excellent, and right now he looks as good as he ever has. He's dominating spring training right now. So it's possible. The Tigers have two kind of pretty good frontline lefties. And then, to be honest, Matt Manning, Spencer Turnbull, and Wentz to wrap it up. Although the other guys are just always hurt. That's been the thing. Skubal is always hurt. But a guy like Turnbull has been really good at times. So
he's back now, too. He's back.
The Tigers are asking for a lot, right? We're asking for a lot from the Tigers. The reason I am so excited about them is because I like to bet on F5s. So since the Tigers, they check a lot of those boxes for me. The bullpen is trash. So they're probably going to be competitive, ahead and or tied through 5. They're going to offer a really good F5 price. They're going to lose the game. The next day, they're going to post another really good F5 price. They're going to be competitive, ahead and or tied through 5. They're going to lose that game also. And it's funny. So, like, I've had teams like this, teams like the Marlins and the Tigers in the past that have very good pitching staffs. Average, let's call it hitting. That I'm telling you, they're going to be one of my favorite teams through 5 this season. You could write it down right now. I guarantee you I'm going to, because Matthew Boyd, until the public catches up with it, is going to get posted as an underdog. And he's probably going to be as good as the guy he's facing. So when I want to get exposure, that's what I'm getting at long story long is, if I want to get exposure to bad teams like the Tigers, get it in little tiny samples in 5-inning bites. You don't want to invest in them for 6 months. They're awful. And again, they might sell off everything that's not nailed down. So, you can get exposure to these teams. Not like, oh, they're bad, so I don't touch that. I just have to go about it a little bit differently. So yeah, Matthew Boyd, first 5s all season, baby. Let's go. FTW.
Love that. Just wrote that down on my computer here. And for me personally, the division, I'm going to take the Guardians, Sox, Twins, Royals. Then at the end, we got the Tigers. All right, moving on to the AL West, the division that's dominated by the Houston Astros, everyone's favorite team. And that's obviously reflected in the betting markets. They're clear faves to win the division. But I think the most interesting team has to be the Los Angeles Angels. I think they're the most interesting team in baseball. Like when you have 2 of arguably the best players in all of baseball here, like, and you're really struggling to make the playoffs, like it's really tough. And I want this team to do well. I feel like all of baseball wants this team to do well, but yeah, they've just never really been able to put it together. Mike Trout always gets hurt, and just their bullpen isn't the greatest. The supplementary depth that they've added just has never really been that good. Alex, let's start with you. Do you have any thoughts or concerns about the Angels? You think that maybe they can pull it off this year, or anything that you're interested in with them?
Call me a sucker. I'm willing to buy into the Angels again this year. I don't know. I like what they got in Hunter Renfroe and Brendan Drury, to kind of round out the lineup a little bit. I think Taylor Ward's pretty underrated. Anything they can get from Anthony Rendon is just a bonus at this point. But like the difference between this year and last year, there's 2 big differences. One, you're not going into the season basically relying on guys like Jared Walsh and David Fletcher like they were last year. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe can provide some, a bit of a spark, a catch or 2, nice young catcher prospect. I think the lineup is just a bit more well-rounded this year. And I'm significantly higher on the rotation than I was going into last season. Like I'm a big Reed Detmers guy. I think that everyone sort of caught on this spring, but like, I've got some stock in him in a couple dynasty leagues. I really, really, really like him. I think that him as your 4th starter, that's really nice. Behind guys like Ohtani, Sandoval, Tyler Anderson, who's another, like another really nice arm, coming over from the other side of LA. So I'm willing to buy in on the Angels here. Win division? Absolutely not. The Astros are still the cream of the crop here. They're still the best team in baseball, in my opinion. Maybe the Braves could give them a bit of a run for their money, but I don't see them winning the division. But getting into the playoffs, maybe going over this win total. I got 79.5 back in February. It's like 81.5, 82.5. I'm still a little like, again, I just feel like a sucker. I feel like a sucker buying into this team, but I'm willing to do it. The talent's there. I like what they did this offseason. I'm willing to buy in here.
Yeah, for sure. And the biggest thing is we need Mike Trout to stay healthy. It's just he can never seem to do that, which always sucks. But
hopefully they don't trade Ohtani by the All-Star break.
John, what are your thoughts on this division? Kind of same thoughts with Alex there on the Angels, or you're looking at another team right now?
I think the Angels is a misprice. The fact it's actually moved away from them. I know people just love the Astros, and that's where I actually think the weakness is. So especially whenever you see a heavy favorite for this kind of bet, that's just silly. So you always want to go the other way. What I like in particular, again, I know my styles can be a bit unique, but it always, served me well, man. I bet every day and been able to do this stuff professionally because I think it's about sustainability. So yes, I like the Angels. I also like the Mariners. And what I like about them more than anything, and again, the path to sustainability and a different way to think about futures and an attack plan is the 2 other horses in the race that I like, the Mariners and the Angels, are both listed over 300, meaning you could weigh out those 2 bets. So you could kind of come up with whatever R you were going to bet and hit the 2 of them, where either of them hitting is a profitable venture, just kind of tweak the dials. In this age of fractional betting, you should always be taking advantage of that, right? You don't have to go see Vito and give him $50. Doesn't work that way. You could bet $27 on one thing and $14 on another one and kind of weigh the scales. Because again, profit in this business, I believe, is made on the margins and having good attack plans. So I would take a combination of the Mariners and the Angels this one because I think I saw Mariners around +4, and I think I saw Angels at like +8. It depends where you are. Again, shop around. Mama told me you got to shop around, whatever. So I'd be looking at a combination of those two. Do not look past the Mariners. They're very good. They're very good. They're also deep. They also have that piece that I made sure to mention at the front is they are aggressive, right? As far as player acquisitions go, they're aggressive. If this iteration of the Mariners is not good, they're going to change it. They're going to bring in bullpen. They're going to bring in guys. They're going to bring up hitters. And, man, I know you want to talk about stepping on rakes, Alex. Like, here I am, president of the Jared Kelnick fan club. I absolutely am in love with this guy right now. Think of adding this piece to a team that was already really good and on the upswing, right? Arrow up. Julio Rodriguez with a full season, off-season of preparation, having seen Major League Baseball speed. With Teoscar Hernandez. Also, something I covered, again, if you want to get into more of my work, just follow me on Twitter. It'll take you to the rabbit holes. But something that I've kind of discovered, because I do all this granular work, man, because that's where I think the answer is. Fantasy baseball kind of being the core of where the science is. So after we had the humidors installed, it's kind of thrown a bit of wonkiness into some home run projections. People much smarter than me, objectively, orders of magnitude smarter than I am, are using 3-year averages. See, that's where I'm kind of disagreeing. Now that we changed the constant, meaning the universal inception of the humidor, I'm not looking behind that. I'm just looking at post-humidor data. And Seattle was top 4 in the league across the board in all home run metrics to right-handed hitters. So home run to fly ball, home run to barrel, home run to blast. These are really important metrics, not just a total, which might not account for the hitters involved. We're talking rate stats, home run to fly ball, home run to barrel. Listen, people, this stuff really matters. We had 5 different ballparks last year. That barrel to home run rate was 40% or below. Think about that. Your hitter's up there, you bet a home run prop. Oh, he barreled the ball, It's even good. So the idea, right, we're looking for analytics, we're looking for underpinning statistics. You want to identify barrels, but it's more than just identifying the barrels, where it happens. So Seattle, I'm telling you, man, is being underrated as a hitter's park. I think Teoscar Hernandez is going to go freaking nuclear this year. That's why those right-handed hitters have done very well. Eugenio Suarez went off again last year. That power is going to be there. So look for Julio, all these guys to go off as far as power. I really like Seattle. Don't sell them short. Robbie Ray added the cutter to cut down on some of that bad contact from the four-seamer. I just think they're going to be really good. Luis Castillo attacked on 2 miles an hour. Yeah, I can tell I'm a Mariners guy. But I don't think 350 covers for how good the Angels are and all the good arguments that you made. So I use a pair of those two.
I like that. Joe, you have anything to add there?
Yeah, the division's catching up a little bit here to the Houston Astros. A little bit, you got to wonder if it's going to catch up to the Astros. Year after year, the talent keeps walking out that door. This past year was Verlander. The season before that, Correa. The season before that, Springer. Now Jose Altuve is going to miss a big chunk.
Hasn't mattered yet, right?
Of time, hasn't mattered yet. I mean, they got a bunch of young talent that keeps on coming up, but I like what the Mariners are doing. Luis Castillo really responded when he got traded over there from the Reds, so a ton of talent there. Some people think the Rangers are intriguing. I'll believe it when I see it with DeGrom. Is he going to pitch 25 games? I don't know. I probably wouldn't bet on that. In regards to the Angels, so I took under 81.5 wins at even money. Last time they topped this number was back in 2015. I know it's a different version of the team year after year, but I think this is just an incredibly top-heavy team. And I do think that if they're not in this at the All-Star break, the temptation to trade Shohei Ohtani will be there. Because you got to think maybe between now and then they might offer him some type of money. And if he gives them an indication that maybe he doesn't want to come back, they're just going to let him walk and get nothing for him. Or they could potentially trade him and get an absolute boatload here. So, year after year, the Angels, they're Major League Baseball's equivalent to the Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of people tend to like them coming into a season. Of course, they share a region out there in California. But, I'll take the Angels to go under 81.5.
I like that. All right. And my mind's going crazy thinking about the return that they would get for a Shohei Ohtani. It'd be insane. All right, let's move on to our best bets for the division. I know we touched on a few already. Alex, do you have any more for us?
I bet under on the Rangers. I talked about it last week. Like Joe said, I want to buy it to see it. I bet the Mariners to win the World Series. I think that that's the way I kind of want to attack that. There's some 20-1s out there still. I think that over the course of a long regular season, obviously there's a lot more volatility to getting plus 350 on them to win the division. I think that this team matches up well with anyone in a playoff series. You throw out Luis Castillo, you throw out Logan Gilbert, you throw out Robbie Ray, and then my favorite of the bunch, I think, who might even be their best pitcher, is George Kirby, who I don't think we're talking enough about. I can see this guy being their true ace going into the playoffs by the time it was all said and done this season. So I think that's just a lethal combination. 1, 2, 3, 4. The bullpen is good. Yep. The lineup just absolutely mashes, as John already talked about that. That's kind of the way I like to attack this Mariners team. I bet them to win the World Series. I think there's still some nice prices out there, and I think that this will be a fun team to back come October.
Yeah, and pitching, we know pitching is king come October. So, John, I know you already mentioned you like the Mariners and the Angels as like a cluster together, but do you have any other thing you like here?
Yeah, I already went too long. So I like the Mariners World Series also, and then overs on those Seattle right-handed home run totals. So I think Julio Rodriguez, I think Teoscar Hernandez are all being kind of shortchanged on those. I think they go well over. If I could find all totals, that's what I'd be looking for, because I think. Anytime you think you're going to clear that bar by 5 or more home runs, we could look for maybe even a better price.
Yeah, it's great advice. And Joe, any more bets for us here?
No, not really. I love the under on the Angels there, as you know, and Mariners just looking at now plus 320. Not a bad bet to win the division. Am I predicting that? No, but a plus 320, not a bad bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's close it out with order of finish, guys. Alex, we'll start with you. Who you got where?
That Astros rotation and their depth is just still unbelievable. So I'll go Astros, Mariners, Angels, Rangers, Athletics, who aren't, honestly, I didn't bet the win total, but 59.5 is a bit disrespectful to the Athletics. I know they're tanking and this and that. That team has a little bit of talent. They have a little bit of talent. The rotation isn't that bad, but anyways, last in the division for sure.
John?
I'm laughing because I just didn't get around to writing it. I was trying to pitch the Athletic on a article where I wrote the 99th percentile outcome for the World Series champion Oakland Athletics this year, based on I know it sounds wild, but like obviously they're not going to win the World Series here, but they're not nearly as bad as it's being made out to be. They're not nearly as bad. Not nearly as bad. They put in a bunch of new pieces. And again, you have to have your eye on the prospect stuff. There's young kids back there. Capel looks really good. He might get a crack for opening day. Nick Allen looks really good in spring training. He's a highly touted prospect. Sometimes these kids come up and they're not great immediately, so we automatically discard them. And, Waldichuk and Sears, guys I got from the Yankees, could be good. So, it's yet to be seen, but I think that over might actually be good. But like I said, I'm not going to bet on a team that bad. I think the Mariners win it, just eking out the Astros. I don't want to disagree with Alex about their depth, the Astros' depth. I think it's constituted. The 5 is excellent. I worry about what's going on behind it, though. You don't to let a guy like Verlander leave and the stress he takes off of a bullpen, right? Because McCullers is already down.
I don't trust McCullers at all.
Hunter Brown, as much as I like him, and I think he's going to be very good. Again, remember, this year has nothing to do with where I think his career will end up. He's not going to give you 185 innings. Those innings have to come from somewhere. Presley's even missed time. Every year he misses time.
Brown isn't exactly healthy right now either.
Good.
Brown isn't healthy right now either.
I know. So the Astros, I think that price is not really reflecting some of the risks that are already kind of popped up. So I would never touch the Astros at that price.
Yeah. And Joe, order of finish. What do you got?
I'll go Astros, Mariners, Rangers, Angels, A's.
All right. I love it.
Rangers over Astros. That's hot, baby.
No, Rangers over Angels.
Rangers
Did I say that wrong?
That's Rangers.
No. Yeah.
You got it.
That's still hot. That's still hot.
I'm going chalk here. Astros, Mariners, Angels, Rangers, and Athletics. All right. We're hitting the halfway point here. All right. We're going to move across to the National League. But before we do, I want to remind everyone, if you're watching this on YouTube, guys, please, if you're enjoying the show so far, hit that like button. And please, guys, subscribe to this YouTube channel, right? We're trying to get this show off the ground. And we got John every single day here when the start of the season comes around March 30th. So make sure you subscribe so you never miss out on a video moving forward. All right, guys, heading straight into the NL East. The division that got, I think, ruined the most by spring training with I guess not spring training with Edwin Diaz, but the preseason, let's call it that. Edwin Diaz gets hurt for the Mets. Rhys Hoskins gets hurt for the Phillies. So a lot decent amount of injury happening to a few stars in this division. Is there any team you like in particular that you think might surprise here, Joe, or you think you just kind of going with the chalk here?
I think the Phillies could surprise. I think they're being undervalued at plus 425 to win the division. I like what they showed us. They kind of snuck into the playoffs, absolutely, but that team has a ton of talent. Sucks that they lost Hoskins. I liked him to go over his home run total. I targeted him in my fantasy baseball draft the night before he goes down.
Oh.
So I don't get that back, but I get my bet refunded for the over on the 27.5 home runs. But yeah, I like the Phillies here. I like the top two in their rotation. Nola and Wheeler absolutely lights out. They're going to get even better when Bryce Harper comes back. That's a team that's not afraid to make a deal at the deadline. The Braves might be the best team in baseball. They're super stacked. I keep rooting for Mike Soroka to come back. Maybe this will be the year he gets back in there and can pick up where he left off when he was up in the bigs, when he made a bit of a name for himself. As for the Mets, some red flags here, guys, in my opinion. Super talented, obviously, but if you look at the top two guys in their rotation, Max Scherzer the past couple seasons has shown some signs of wearing down here. Remember the dead arm issue with the Dodgers? He only started 23 games last year. He was not good in the playoffs. Verlander, 40 years old, he looked like he was declining during his final couple of years with the Tigers. Then he came over to the Astros and he got it back and became one of the best pitchers in baseball. Again, is that going to carry over to a new team here with the Mets? And he hasn't been so good in the playoffs either. So the Mets should absolutely be there come playoff time. I just don't know if they're going to be able to perform. And of course, Diaz there in the bullpen. That's not good.
Yeah, for sure. And losing essentially the best closer in baseball and not really having much to back him up, it's gonna lose some tough games down the stretch there. Alex, I want to throw to you, and I want to throw to you about the Braves, a team that Joe didn't really touch on there. They're looking like they are the favorites to win this division. Do you like them, or you kind of stand off with them?
They're nails. They're absolute nails. There's nothing to pick apart about this team. They got some pitching injuries right now going into the season, which maybe worry a bit, right? And Soroka, but like they still have the depth. Like they got Schuster and Dodd coming in who, can make contributions. Like this team is stacked top to bottom. You look at their lineup, I feel like it's like a World Baseball Classic type of lineup. The ones we saw there with like Venezuela and these teams throwing out there. What sucks about these injuries for me in the AL East is that I think we lost a lot of value on some bets. The Braves were winning this division no matter what. Diaz going down, Hoskins going down. We're now getting like plus 100, even maybe minus 110 of the Braves to win the division. Whereas 2 weeks ago, you're getting like plus 140, plus 150. So that kind of sucks from that. I mean, obviously you don't want to see guys go down for, a number of reasons. But also I kind of like the under on the Mets win total. And now, the Diaz injury goes from 94.5 to like 92.5. Not really interested in that anymore. So that's kind of unfortunate. That's a massive adjustment for a closer, a guy who's pitching, 35% of their games, obviously the, best in the game, but like, geez, I mean, we're adjusting a team, 3 wins on their win total because their closer goes down. I don't necessarily agree with that. Again, I'm not looking to bet their over though anyways, because that's a team maybe I was a little bit more down on. There's risks with some of these pitchers. Sure, Joe talked about Scherzer already. What are you going to get from Carrasco? I like Peterson. Until we see Verlander, actually take a step back, I'm not going to, necessarily expect him to, but I just don't necessarily think they have the depth in arms right now. Senga could be very good. We don't know. I think his game will translate. I think he'll be a nice addition to that rotation. But again, there's just question marks there. Not fading them at this price, though. At these prices now, I think the ship has kind of sailed on that. So I think I'm out on that. Phillies, you can still get some under on their 88.5. It looks like me and Joe are going to go head-to-head all season, apparently. But I don't think the depth is quite there. I love Nola, absolutely love Nola. Wheeler has some injury concerns. And then you look at the rotation beyond that, Tajuan, Strom, just not a huge fan of this rotation beyond those top guys. So I think they still, if you still got some 88.5, I still like the under there.
All right. And one team we haven't really touched on, the Miami Marlins. John, you have any thoughts with them, or you kind of just passing on them looking at other teams in the division?
I think they're another really good kind of F5 team that I was mentioning before. They check those same boxes of very strong starting pitching, just enough to get it done offense. They went on some like record under tears last year. I don't think they're quite that team anymore, right? They again, they got caught chasing. I know I kept bringing it up, and it really matters. They got caught chasing the 2019 power supply, right? Thinking that it was towering fly balls. So they went and got a whole bunch of guys that hit like towering fly balls, and all those guys are terrible now. So like Jesus Sanchez, it's Soler, these guys are not any good. It's not where, it's not where that type of hitter is not good anymore. So they went and brought in some contact. Well, they brought in the best contact hitter in the game. So I've been hearing Arias has been working on his pull power as well. He hit a couple of dongs in the World Baseball Classic, and that like caught the entire world by storm. This guy does not hit home runs, but they were talking about that adjustment, and then we saw it. So not to overreact to it, but I think the Marlins are going to be a fun F5 team. This division it's kind of gross, for me, because it's really too close for comfort. A lot of times it's going to come down to who's on the bump on any given night. Oh, they're really bad. I think the Braves are clearly the best team. All the things that you guys mentioned, just balance, depth. I think like Joe mentioned, I think if I had to find value, it's probably the Phillies. I mean, they just came from the World Series, added one of the top 3 best ball players in the world, and their odds are worse than they were beforehand. So there's got to be something to that. Meaning, and also like I mentioned, I think they're going to add if they need to, but you can't shortchange what Alex is talking about. There is no depth in that rotation. It's like that picture of the horse that looks amazing in the beginning, and then at the end, it's like, who drew this thing? Like my daughter. And that's what it is. You're going from like literally Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, legit Cy Young contenders, perennial Cy Young vote getters, to Matt Strahm has not been able to hold down a job as a long reliever anywhere. You cannot think he's going to be the 5 starter and give you again. Remember, people, it's resonating effects of this stuff. It's not like, oh, he's bad, so they're bad. It's the strain that Matt Strahm puts on this on the bullpen. How much are you going to count on him for? 115 innings? If that, I'd be surprised if he goes 115 innings this year, especially as a starter. They got to come from somewhere. All of a sudden, you're taxing the bullpen. That is what hurts baseball teams over the long run, where the Mets, they just have to like kind of patchwork it together because their guys are going to be coming back, hopefully. All of a sudden, having a guy like Peterson, having a guy like McGill, and having a front office that understands you need to go into a season with 7 starters and not 5 is what makes a difference. So I think the Mets will probably make like a Philly-type run where they may look kind of gross at times. They're going to see pitchers you didn't think you'd see. And then as they get healthier, probably make a run at the end. I think that, like I said, it's a Braves, like gap, Mets and Phillies. But I do think the value is the Philadelphia Phillies.
All right, then I'm going to throw to Joe for this one because we were just talking about the Phillies, and I know you love the Phillies. So, any best bets for this division?
Player prop, it is a fade, and I do a lot of these based on, if I think the player's going to hold up and, whether or not they're going to visit the injured list or not. But I'm going to fade the Max Scherzer strikeout total was at 205.5, minus 110 on the under in that. And I think a 30-start season for a Scherzer is way too much to ask. He turns 39 here in the summer. Signs of slowing down the past couple seasons. As I pointed out, he only started 23 games last season. He had that dead arm issue with the Dodgers the season before that. Last season, like I said, only 23 starts, only had 173 strikeouts. His Ks per 9 were also down as well. And maybe if he doesn't get injured, it might be in the Mets' best interest to skip his turn in the rotation a couple times down the stretch run of the season, depending on where they're at in the standings, of course. But yeah, I think he's going to be great when he's out there. I just don't know how much he will be out there.
All right. Alex, any best bets for the NL East?
We talk about value, and, maybe this isn't value anymore, but plus 100 on the Braves, I think they have a greater than 50% chance to win this division, considerably greater. So I'd still play plus 100. Depending on when you're listening to this, we'll see if this price is still around, but there is a rogue plus 135 still sitting there at Bet365 right now. I'm not going to hit it, so it should still be there for when this comes out. If it'll be a race to the finish line there, but that's a great bet. That is a great bet right now.
Yeah, looking across the board, not nearly anything close to that. So good luck.
Look, they're at plus 100 right now. If you even just want to look at it from a strictly top-down perspective, I mean, minus 118 at Penny, minus 110 at Circa. The market makers are considering them bigger favorites than they are at the recreational books. So I think getting plus 100, anything else like that is a very good price on the Braves to win this division.
All right, and John, any bets for us here?
Not really a futures thing. You could tell I'm getting ready for the in-season stuff. Washington, right-handed hitters, that one of those 5 ballparks with a better than 20% home run to fly ball rate. So just one of those things you want to be looking for as we're getting into the season is be careful of looking to short the Nats because you think their offense is trash. That ballpark, the righties in particular, one of those spots, it's a launch pad. Think about that. One out of every 5 balls, the course of a season went out for right-handed hitters. That's absurd. That's absurd, right? And again, a lot of people are behind this curve because they're still using different averages. Like if you look at the 3-year average, it's like, oh, it's like a mediocre average kind of park. And I have it like, raging right now. So that's one of those places. I'm just getting people into what you can expect if you're going to hop on me every day. It's obviously going to be pretty crazy, But I'm looking for that Washington stuff. So maybe if you wanted a future, it'd be like, maybe the Meneses home run total, right? People are not really buying what he's selling. He was a late kind of breakout, 29, 30 years old. Oh, and he hit a ton of dongs as a righty in Washington. Now, you got to be careful with Washington in general because he might hit 30 home runs and it might be good for 41 ribbies. But it's there. So, I like that. Maybe Meneses home run. I got to look at some of these home run props. I think, right, he's going to get shorted. It's probably like, I haven't looked. It's probably like low 20s. And I think that's easy over.
All right. And then let's close this out quickly here. Projected order finish. Joe, we'll start with you.
I will go Braves, Phillies, Mets, Marlins, Nationals.
Alex?
Yeah, exact same thing.
John?
I want to swap Mets and Phillies. I think the Mets come in second. So I have Braves, Mets, Phillies, Marlins, Nats.
Yeah, I'm in that same.
Chalky.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. We're all about the same there. All right, moving on to the NL Central, guys. Almost closing out here. Guys, this is a little bit of an interesting division. And again, like a closer division like the NL East. Is there any team in particular that you're kind of interested to see here? John, let's start with you. You liking the Brewers or Cubs, or you like Cardinals after they just got shellacked by the Astros? What do you like here?
This one's kind of fun. I mean, I don't know where I'd have these lines. I guess you have to make the Cardinals the de facto favorite because the lineup is very strong.
Yeah,
that pitching rotation is not any good. I'm going on a limb like they're bad. I think they're bad. I think the pitching rotation is bad. Actually, I think Wainwright, if that's what you were hanging your hat on, you're in trouble. He's already down. And this whole like soft contact lefty thing. Listen, I like Jordan Montgomery, not to smash him for leaving my Yankees, but he's more like a 3 and a 4, right? I think where he fit in for the Yankees is beautiful. Lefty in that rotation, kind of work the edges. You don't need a million strikeouts from everybody. That's not how you have to play. But I think he's the ace of that team. I mean, Michaelis, I think it's already done. I think the Cardinals are going to have to slug their way to a division win, which means there's no way I'm paying any kind of juice without pitching. Pitching is like my baby. It's where I think the true answers to these keys are. And I'm not touching anybody I don't think can pitch. The team I think that can pitch is the Brewers. It's just, can they keep them on the mound? And I don't think they can. So no. I'm probably going to keep my money in my pocket. But Alex, you mentioned something very important. Thinking about these teams under a playoff lens, like, right? If we're betting futures, get them to the playoffs. And think about them in those terms. And all of a sudden, you were talking about Seattle, and I'm like, yes. Because not only is it 3 big starters, it's 4 or 5 starters to come in to fill in that gap. They also have 2 big closers, right? Talking about Seattle. So, but that's the kind of stuff that I want to look for. You don't get any of that from the Cardinals. So I wouldn't go there. The Brewers or that kind of team, someone's got to win the division. So I think it'll be the Brewers, but I guess the market feels the same way because I would not pay 170. That does not feel like enough. The back of that rotation also not any good. The value I actually think is the Cubs. Okay, the Cubs have been super aggressive as far as bringing up players, moving the lineup, rotating guys around, moving positions, calling up players. They're going also player acquisitions and getting guys like Hayden Wesneski, somebody we'll probably mention later on with a rookie award. Give me. If I can't kind of figure out the puzzle, give me the team that's kind of doing the things that I think get there, and I think the price is there. So value, I think it's the Cubs, even though I think the Brewers are probably my favorite.
All right, yeah, the Cubs at sitting at, I think it's plus 800 is what I have written down here over at Pinnacle. I'm sure you can probably shop around for a better price there. And yeah, tons of acquisitions this offseason, super aggressive there. Like almost an entirely new starting 9 for their bats there. Joe, you like anyone in this division in particular? We touched on the Cubs and a little bit on the Cardinals. Anyone else you're interested to see here?
Well, I agree with pretty much everything John said. I do think this is a bit of a cupcake division. I don't agree with the Cardinals being favored to win it. I think their pitching stinks. They got the two big hitters. Absolutely. Those guys are fun to watch. I would go with the Brewers. I like the Brewers better than the Cardinals. I like 1 through 3 in their rotation. We'll see if those guys hold up over the course of the season. And yeah, the Cubs are ready to win again. Might not be this season, but they won their World Series. They were in the playoffs for a handful of years. Then they decided to take their foot off the gas and offload the talent that they had, guys who were at the tail end of their prime or maybe even out of their prime, and they completely reloaded with a bunch of young guys. They're ready to spend again. You saw this with the Swanson signing. And yeah, they could be a team that surprises, but if I need to pick a team to win, I'm going to go with Milwaukee.
All right, and Alex, you in agreement there? Or?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement a bit in this division. I don't want to put my money on the Cardinals. As good as that lineup is, there's no easy outs 1 through 9. I just do not see them getting enough outs to trust at these prices. Brewers, they got the great 1-2. Can Peralta stay healthy? I don't really know. The bullpen's obviously not as strong as it once was. A guy like maybe Aaron Ashby can get healthy and make a bit of a contribution. He's an interesting arm. So but I don't think they have the hitting. Is Tellez going to replicate his career year? Can we count on another 150 plus games from Christian Yelich? Is Winker going to replace what Renfroe gave them last year? I don't buy into that team. Cubs, a lot to like. Talk about Wisniewski. The rotation has some really interesting arms. Even Talon, a very interesting. More so from a fantasy perspective, I guess you're not really going to bet on him in any of these markets. But Talon is a guy who maybe I'll look to back on a game-to-game basis for the Cubs, who's going to give you a lot of innings. He's going to eat a lot of innings. He's going to miss a lot of bats. He's going to be decently undervalued guy. I think winning the division is a bit too much of a step for them, though. I still don't quite see them getting to that maybe probably 87 game you're going to have to win this division. Even 86, 85. Only bet that I've actually made so far in the futures market in this division is the Pirates over 66.5. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I think the 3 teams above them are weaker. I think 66.5 is very low for a team that does have a decent amount of talent. Do they trade Brian Reynolds at the All-Star break and maybe go on an insane losing run in the second half of the season and kind of screw me over? Maybe, but you talk about Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, who I think is just an absolute stud. This guy can do basically everything. Cut down on the strikeout rate quite a bit in the second half of last season. He's not swinging at as many bad pitches outside of the zone. I think he's awesome. You brought in some good veterans in McCutchen and Santana who can provide you a little bit more of a baseline at least. And the arms in the rotation, Keller finally looks like the guy we thought maybe he once could have been. He's a pretty highly regarded prospect. He's finally looking to sort of come into his own. Had a very nice spring, going to be getting the ball on opening day. Roansy Contreras is a guy I kind of like. Can Luis Ortiz step into the rotation at one point and kind of be a guy for them? I think that there's enough pieces here. I think 66.5 is a bit low, and especially, obviously you're not playing as many games in the division. We talked about that, but they're playing enough where I think that, they can get to 70, even 75 wins, and we'll talk about it later. But O'Neal Cruz, if they can, maybe surprise and even hit 80 wins, and this guy has a huge season, 130 to 1 to win MVP, I don't hate that either. I don't hate that.
Yeah, for sure. And Fangraphs has them listed for 74 wins. So that's little off there on the market. Let's get through these bets quickly. Alex, I know you mentioned the Pittsburgh Pirates season win total over. Do you have any other? Is that it?
No, that's it. That's
all
it
right,
for me here.
I'm going to throw directly to John. Then John, anything you like in this division here, whether it be win total or to win the division or anything along those lines?
Futures, no. What am I going to be looking for? Every single game being played in Great American Ballpark. I absolutely love it. I don't know how the books have been so slow to catch up to what's going on there. I tweeted this the other day. It's really kind of ridiculous. I don't even know how it happened. So Cincinnati, that ballpark, led the league in home runs, right? And I know totals I mentioned before could be a bit wonky, but they only had one player that hit 20. And then only one other player that hit 15. How did that happen? Think about that ballpark. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a cartoon. It's cartoonish in a way, right? They led the league in home run, the fly ball. How about this one? Like I mentioned, there were home run with the barrel stats. 64% of all barrels go out in Cincinnati. That's a huge difference. If you're ever doing player props, you find your barrel in Detroit with a 40% barrel home run. I'll find my barrel in Cincinnati with a 64% home run to barrel. And that's where you want to be, people. Like I said, I know I'm getting a little more laser focused in season stuff, but that's what I'm waiting for. The launching pad in Great American Ballpark. Oh my goodness, it is the best. It's better than Coors.
Last year, I think they had one guy who had more than 400 at bats. I think that we'll see a bit more stability.
It's so bad.
We'll see more stability. There'll be more stability, I think, in the lineup this year a little bit. You know,
But
maybe
what
guys
is that home run total? Imagine that was the end of the tweet. Was what if they were good? What if they were actually good? They had nobody. They didn't have a single healthy player, like you mentioned. You lost India, you lost Votto, traded away everybody. They had literally nothing going on. Every prospect they tried to bring up fell flat in their face. Now this year, the beginning of that could be okay. Like, I mean, people are wondering why I like, Friedel at the back of fantasy drafts. A guy like him could go 2020.
Spencer Steer too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. I have him for Rookie of the Year tickets. You gotta get behind the inflated environment. He's going to start from day one. I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute, maybe. Yeah.
We'll get to the Rookie of the Year in just 1 second here, and then finally, Joe, any best bets for us from this division?
Nothing I love. I kind of like a shot on the Cubs, though, plus 650 to win this division. Who knows? Maybe they are ahead of schedule here a little bit. Maybe things don't break right for the Cardinals and the Brewers in terms of staying healthy. And maybe, like I said, maybe the Cubs get off to a hot start. They say, hey, we're in this thing, and maybe they make a deal or two at the deadline. Plus 650 to win the division, and what I think is a cupcake division. Not a bad number.
Absolutely. And finally, guys, let's bang this out quickly. Order of finish. Joe, we'll start with you.
I'll go Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Reds, Pirates.
Moretto?
I'll go. It's chalky, but Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs, Pirates, Reds, but closer than the win totals are suggesting in those finishes.
And John?
Man, Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Reds, Pirates.
I love it.
My Pittsburgh Pirates. All this slander to my Pittsburgh Pirates.
The pitching development is so bad there. They don't change. You know what I mean? Like that's what I look for when I talk about trajectory arrows and stuff. Man, Roansy Contreras is getting worse under them. It feels like,
which is insane because he's got some talent.
I know he's got and that's the thing. I hate people. Everybody here gets it. Sometimes you analyze a team poorly or something, and people think like you don't like them or think they're terrible or think they're bad. No, he's incredibly talented, but whatever they're doing with the front org, they're just not getting a lot out of the pitching staff.
Well, look how long it took Mitch Keller to kind of finally become someone, right?
Here we go again. So we believe now it's real this time, dude.
Well, yeah.
This exact time last year, there were 102 mile-an-hour Twitter hype videos, and everyone was going nuts right now. He was moving up draft boards. He was getting picked for comeback player of the year. He's getting picked for all these future bets, and he was objectively terrible. So I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but we've done this song and dance with Mitch Keller, and they're absolutely relying on him. The Pirates did a hype video for Vince Velasquez.
I finished my yellow Kool-Aid here, as you can see. So
I can't believe that's so bad. It's so bad. O'Neal Cruz, sexy as hell, man. He's like one of the awesome. Best. He's like one of the best players, like individually in the league. Yeah.
There's nothing he can't do.
Right, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's talking about running the bases, fielding, hitting. He can do it all. He can do it all. He's awesome.
Crazy.
All right, and to close it out, I'll just give out mine: Brewers, Cards, Cubs, Pirates, Reds. All right, last division here, guys. NL West, Dodgers. I think they're one of the best front offices in the league. They just really know how to develop and just very wise in their offseason acquisitions. But the Padres with the big home run acquisition, I guess, with Xander Bogaerts. Do we think they've done enough here to supplant the Dodgers? Alex, we'll start with you.
The Dodgers are a team I would like to fade just because of the fact that I don't think there's like any depth there. They're relying on some young guys that have some talent, like, Outman and Vargas. Maybe those guys come in and make big contributions. JD Martinez, David Peralta, Jason Hayward, these like very underwhelming, kind of unsexy veterans that I just don't love. The rotation is volatile, could be very good, but there's a lot of question marks. So I want to fade the Dodgers, but like you said, that front office is so good. They bring guys in for a reason. They seem to be able to revive anyone they get in there. I wouldn't be surprised if Noah Syndergaard gives them, 170 innings of 3.5 ERA ball with a, K9 rate over 9. So like, I can't quite fade them. I am buying in on the Diamondbacks, though, in this division. I am definitely buying in on the Diamondbacks. I think they are being significantly undervalued. I think that there's a chance the Diamondbacks come out and win, 68 games this year and go way under their win total. But I think that ceiling is so high with this team. And there's a lot to like about them. I think that, the question marks are about the rotation, right? The question marks are they going to get enough pitching? And, it's understandable. Madison Bumgarner, Zach Davies, these guys suck. These guys are brutal. Get rid of them. I think a month and a half, 2 months into the season, these guys will not be on this roster. These guys will not be pitching for this team. You're going to see guys like Fat come in. You're going to see, maybe Dre Jameson, Ryan Nelson, who made the team, pitching behind, legitimate Cy Young candidate in Zach Allen. And they're going to get the hitting. They will get the hitting for sure. Young guys like Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy, Alec Thomas, Gabriel Moreno, really good contact hitters, guys who are going to be aggressive on the base pass, generate runs, and some good veterans to, kind of bring them along. And, Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, Lourdes Gurriel coming over. I think there's a lot to like about this team. And I mean, it's a tough division, but I see a path to 80, 85 wins here if things break right. And, maybe being in contention, maybe making the wild card, like a plus 550 on them to make the playoffs. I really like that. I really like taking a flyer on this team.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like they're getting slightly disrespected in the win total thing. Maybe it's just because the range of outcomes is just so wide here. Sitting at, I think it's 74 and a half wins for the Diamondbacks there. John, you like the Diamondbacks as well, or you looking at another team in the division you think to impress?
I think Arizona's got to be the dark horse in this division, and probably one of the dark horses in the whole shebang, in the whole league. I don't think they'll be able to jump both of the top dogs in the division, which is why I think the division odds are so long. But they might be interesting to make the playoffs bet. Arizona, right? I don't think they can win the division, but I do think they could slide their way into a wild card for all the reasons that Alex said. To the Dodgers, as far as the Dodgers go, this is a relatively bad Dodgers team, not just even average. It's relatively bad. They're putting a lot on the shoulders of some unproven rookies. Now they're going to have multiple rookies starting. This is not like the Dodgers on offense. They're, listen, you lose a guy like Trey Turner. You can't just say that's not anything. I think Muncy's fine. I think JD Martinez is going to bounce back as well. But the back end, Peralta, Trace Thompson, Vargas, and Rojas, that's not like a representative Dodgers lineup. There's easy outs there. It's going to change the dynamic of it, right? So if we're chasing that, let's say Mookie Betts to lead the league in runs, where that was almost like an auto smash, right? Because he was a pure favorite for it. I would not touch something like that now. I would not touch the Dodgers at the price. I think San Diego is being underpriced. I think for the division, they should be the favorite. And I think then, Arizona is the sneakiest team. I can't believe how long these odds are. But like I said, I guess it makes sense. They'd have to jump two really good teams. My money would be on the Padres. I actually think one of the more undersung moves, this lefty-righty DH platoon that they built with Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter, I know really doesn't sound great. It's going to win them ball games. You're just plugging in these pure platoon guys. I mean, the statistics are just off the charts. What Matt Carpenter did, ridiculous, just downright ridiculous. They kind of retooled this entire guy's approach with what? Pull power, elevated fly balls, all the stuff that I was talking about. He was already good at contact. They were able to put that whole thing together. And he's a smash hitter now, man. You can't look at Matt Carpenter and say, oh, man, it's old, washed up, nothing, dust ball. No, he's really good. And the other side, Cruz got his eyes fixed. And they're like the worst hitters on that team. We're talking about depth. That Padres team is going to be extremely difficult. Then Tatis, just like a top 3 hitter on earth, is coming back soon. I don't think they're nearly getting the respect that they deserve. And I think when these teams go head to head, I think it'll really show immediately. Like by the 3rd inning, when the Dodgers are running out nobodies and the Padres are running out all-stars, that you say, wow, this price was off in the first place.
Yeah, Padres right now plus 121 to win that division on Pinnacle. You probably shop around for a better price. And I like what you mentioned there with Nelson Cruz. He got abused last year by the shifts and has been getting abused by the shifts, and that rule should help him out there in that platoon role. Joe, what do you think about the Padres as a whole, and I guess this division as a whole? You like the Padres to maybe supplant the Dodgers?
I don't know, man. I kind of like the Dodgers because of the fact that they don't have a whole lot of buzz coming in this season. Maybe there's some exhaustion going on with the Dodgers just because we're used to them being at the top of the World Series odds board. They're still near the top, but they're no longer at the top. And, a relatively quiet offseason for them. The big acquisition would be, at least from a name recognition standpoint, JD Martinez. I think they're probably loading up for a run at Shohei Ohtani here after this season, maybe at the trade deadline as well. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to stick with the Dodgers to win the division. Is it a bet I'm going to make at minus 120? Absolutely not. The Padres, though, they're probably the sexiest team in baseball 1 through 4 in that batting order. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Once Tatis joins the team here on April 20th. And, I still do like the rotation. Musgrove dropping, what was it, kettlebell or a weight on his toe. That's unfortunate. But 1 through 3, Blake Snell, I'm pretty sure he's in a contract year. We'll see if Hader can bounce back there. And yeah, the D-backs are probably one of those teams where you're going to get good plus money odds on for a big chunk of the regular season. And I could see them being a profitable game-to-game team absolutely here in 2023.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. I agree with all that. I think we're all in agreement here with how we how this division shakes out. But Alex, I'm going to throw to you for any best bets and anything you got here.
Yeah, Diamondbacks over 74.5 wins is great. You can bet them 80 plus wins. There's a number of books that offer that plus money if you don't want to quite go to the playoff bet. But I like them plus 550 to make the playoffs too. I take a stab at that. You want to get real crazy, you can bet them to win the World Series, like 130 to 1. They're not going to win the World Series, but hey, it's a fun bet, and that's about it. I do think the Padres are being a little undervalued, but again, the Dodgers, everything they do is so intentional that I just think that they get the benefit of the doubt. Some of these names they brought in, maybe I don't find them very exciting, but is anyone going to be surprised if these guys come in and just make these massive, awesome contributions to this organization like they seem to plug and play every year? So I just can't get it on fading them. They're probably going to go ahead and win this division anyways. Padres, all the hype surrounding them, they still find ways to sort of blow it every year. So yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, the Dodgers, it's hard to fade them. But John, any thoughts here on the division best bets or any angles you're going for throughout the season here?
No, I'm just looking forward for these to kick off. Though, it used to be my Yankees and Red Sox going at it. The Dodgers and Padres regular season games are just phenomenal. They're just downright phenomenal. I tend to bet on a lot of bad baseball, right? You can hear it from what I'm betting. I like to bet on the Tigers and the Pirates. That's why I like plus money. I like unknown teams playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and soft lines. That's me. I want to make money. But the baseball I like to watch, that's the baseball I like to watch. And I cannot wait for you. Just pull a name out of a hat, man. Give me Musgrove and Kershaw. I really can't wait for Dustin May. I'm very high on Dustin May. So for as down as I am on the Dodgers lineup, I think they're going to pitch their brains out. They're very good. And they have some young cats waiting to come up, like
Bobby
Miller and Grove. Right, Grove. There's 3 or 4 several frontline starters waiting to come up for the Dodgers. So I don't think they're going to score a lot, but I don't know, man. Are they going to make their way into the greasy money line parlay too many times this year? I'm not so sure. I don't know if they're going to hang so many minus 350s, Joe.
I needed to retire that, by the way. And I learned early on, don't include baseball in greasy money line parlays.
All right. Finally, Joe, you got any best bets for us or any player props you like?
Yeah, another player prop under. It's a bit juicy for season long, but they have Fernando Tatis. I saw his over-under home run total 33.5. I took the under at minus 125. So, of course, he's not eligible to return until April 20th. He's going to miss 20 games right off the bat. And that's a concern for a guy who misses a lot of time to start with. He's already had a handful of surgeries, some major shoulder and wrist injuries. It's only 24 years old, right? We saw him miss 32 games in 2021. And he returns to a different environment. He left the game. He was being groomed to be the face of baseball. He was on the cover of the video game. And now by some, he's going to be viewed as a bit of a scumbag. Let's call it what it is because of the PED suspension. So, I'll be interested to see how he responds to the adversity coming back. But I do think that number at 33.5 is too high.
All right. And finally, we'll close it off here with the who we think is going to finish where. Alex, let's throw it to you first.
Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, Giants, Rockies, with a big gap between the top 3 and the bottom 2. I'm not high on the Giants this year.
Laghezza?
Yeah, I'm going to go the same. I want to swap the top. So give me Padres, Dodgers behind them. Then Arizona. I can't believe Arizona is so far behind the Giants. I like Arizona to finish in front of San Francisco. And then the lowly Rockies. Gosh, are they terrible. They're so terrible.
Yeah. And Joe?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Alex on that one.
Fair enough.
100%. Yeah, I don't get the Giants that far ahead of the Diamondbacks. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, it's weird. 13-1 for the Giants to win the division. Probably not going to happen. Saying the Diamondbacks 30-1. It's even crazier. But yeah, I'm I'm going to take the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rockies. That's the order I got. And yeah, that just wraps up our division previews there. From there, we're going to look forward to some AL and NL Rookie of the Year, some player awards, look at some Cy Youngs and MVPs. Let's kick things off with Rookie of the Year, though. And let's start with the American League. We already touched on Gunnar Henderson a little bit, the odds-on favorite to win the award. But there's other guys like Anthony Volpe, who just got recently just got called up there. And if you follow Alex on Twitter, you would have been able to snag him at 10-1. He's all the way down to 6-1 right now at some shops. So, John, I guess we'll start with you. Any guy you're looking in that, I guess, let's call it the top cluster. And then is there any like long shots that you're kind of maybe willing to throw a dart at or looking at here?
Okay, well, first off, I think it's really important. You mentioned Gunnar Henderson. You have to kind of understand the landscape of Rookie of the Year. It's not always the same. Sometimes there are players that have already played. Sometimes there are players coming from overseas that have experience that throw off, right? I'm not saying it's not fair, but it's not the same to have a player that's never seen Major League pitching and someone that has. So Gunnar Henderson has the clear edge because he's done this already. That said, I like Yoshida, although I was smashing Yoshida at like 10-1 and 12-1. It's now down to like 6 and 7. I still think it's fair. At 29, he has some experience. Again, we saw him in the Lower Baseball Classic. He certainly did not look overwhelmed, smacking moonshots in critical situations. You know what I mean? So, like, I know we never know exactly how it's going to translate. Something like that says he's going to be fine. Major League pitching on a huge stage, he hit tremendous home run. I'm not worried at all. He's going to bat like cleanup on a really good team. He's going to be at least in the front half. They gave him the bag. I don't know. He looks really good. I just don't feel like opportunity plus skill plus role plus potential. I don't think the price is proper. So it's not like I think Yoshida runs away with it. I just don't think the price was correct. It's probably getting closer to where it should be. Then at the top, it's a disaster. I don't know, man. Grayson Rodriguez, he's not going to start.
Didn't even make the team.
So I think I should have mentioned at the front, because of guys like Gunnar Henderson, I think you need the whole season of production. Mm-hmm. I really think that's important. Because Gunnar Henderson, again, is probably going to be good. And I'm not crazy about him, but he's going to be good. As far as long shots go, I don't know. It's kind of tough because you need to be playing all the time. You're going to need a full load. I'm not sure it's really there for anybody up top. Anybody outside of 10-1, maybe Tristan Casas checks that box. He's looked really good. He already has a small cup of coffee. He's looked really good at spring training. He's going to play every single day. They just sent Dahlback down as the Red Sox. So Casas is going to get a full complement of plate appearances. My worry is maybe he's too patient at times. And I don't think walking is going to get you the award. I think you have to kind of remember people vote for this stuff, which is important to understand too. Flash kind of matters. But I think Casas checks the box of being in a good market, which I think also matters. So it's a tough one. Give me Yoshida and Casas. I just couldn't pay for a favor because, again, if Henderson has a slow month, that plus 300 will be plus 500. And all better for the wear,
For sure, yeah. And I think I saw Yoshida last night. I want to say 9-1 on Bet365 or up in Canada. I think it was Pro Line Plus. I'm not sure the two, but yeah, like we said earlier, the show, first one to get there.
Well, if you're in Ontario, he's 11-1 at Botano still. That's
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Ontario bettors get after.
Oh,
that.
I forgot my one long shot. My super long shot was Story Ruiz. How did I forget that one? I forgot it. You kind of got me on the spot. My long shot.
Is he having a 60 steal season or what?
Honestly, if people are going to think I'm absolutely nuts, I've avoided trying to talk about him because he's not Billy Hamilton. He's an on-base freak. He's a 400 on-base guy in the minor leagues that had 83 steals last year and had 4 or 5 steals already this spring. So he's letting you know he made the team. If he manages to pull the on-base stuff, this guy is going to steal 80 bases. I know it blows people's minds because we're not used to that. When you hear like 100 home runs, so you're like, wait, that's not like a thing that happens. 100 steals was a thing forever. They had to change the rules. Remember that. This is a thing that happened all the time. It's so much so that they changed the rules. Now we're changing them back. Story Ruiz has a chance to just go absolutely nuclear. I saw that number at like 75-1. If you could still catch that after he's made the team, that is my smash. he should be up there with he should be up there with Casa. He should be up there with 15-1, 18-1, certainly not 75-1. That one I want to make sure I didn't forget.
Yeah, and it's important. I like that you mentioned that a little earlier than before that preamble there, how the voting works. Like you should always be aware of these things when you're betting into these markets. Joe, do you have anyone you like in the AL other than the Yoshida and Hendersons that we mentioned before, or any other long shot you're looking at? What do you think about the AL here?
No one different. I like Yoshida though, and I like what John said about the flash and the narratives about how these are awards that people vote on, and if Yoshida is hitting towering shots over the Green Monster in Boston, and he becomes one of the marquee players on one of the marquee teams in baseball, and maybe we see him at the All-Star break competing in the home run derby, and then he becomes a bit of a media darling. Absolutely, and you guys said 11-1. At a book right now, I think that's a great bet.
Yeah, run to the window for that one, Alex. You got any input here? Or are you kind of in the same boat as John and Joe?
I got Volpe. Just being in the New York market, I think and the fact that he's made the team now, I'm comfortable buying in. I was going to wait and see if the 10-1s are. I don't know what the best price available is now. I locked in as much as I could when they was announced that he'd made the team. For me, this is a market I don't want a ton of exposure in though, and in the AL side of it at least, just because Gunnar Henderson is such a clear favorite right now, and I think that Volpe should, Volpe right up there with Yoshida, obviously, with his experience and his age, being on the team right from the start and having that clear-cut role is huge. So I'd rather wait and see if these guys struggle. Then maybe it opens up opportunity. Then maybe someone who's getting called up, in the end of April, you're going to get some big prices on these guys. But if these, favorites start fast, there's no value down the board. The only kind of long shot maybe, I Ruiz 75-1. I love taking a flyer on that. That makes sense to me. The only kind of long shot I don't mind buying into here, not so much a long shot, but Josh Jung 18-1. I think he's had an incredible spring. He's got a clear cut role too. He's in a really nice lineup. He's had a lot of protection, a lot protection as well. A lot of opportunity for these counting stats to sort of accumulate. I think that he could have a really nice year. And whether he can get to that echelon of a Gunnar Henderson and Anthony Volpe, a Yoshida, I'm not so sure, but I think that 18-1, there's some value there. I don't mind. I didn't actually play it yet myself. I'm kind of on the fence. I want to, but again, I'm trying to limit my exposure in the AL just because these guys at the top can really run away with it. It is a very top heavy class.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the NL, then let's go to a more fun rookie of the year bout here, I guess. Betting favorite Corbin Carroll plus 400 right now, but you got other guys like Jordan Walker. You talked about him previous shows and our future show that you could find on this channel, and you guys were getting him, I think, 10-1 earlier on the season, Alex.
Yeah.
But now that he's announced and as for sure playing every day and had crushed in the spring training, he's down, I think, to plus 450 right now.
Plus 250 at Caesars. Plus 250. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Anyone you like at any number, I guess Walker plus 1,000's off the boards, but I think it was available somewhere in Ontario. You mentioned. I don't want to take that away, but yeah, Alex, who do you like here for this award?
I didn't check again today, but when I was looking yesterday, he was still available 9-1 at Botano. So I'm not sure if it's still there. I anything 5-1, 6-1 shorter on Walker, I have no interest in it. His spring has created this hype machine that he's some generational talent. He's a very, very good hitter, a very good baseball player. He's still a bit raw though. There's some work that needs to be done there. I don't think he's worthy of this price tag by any means, this runaway favorite sort of role that he's found himself in. I think if anything, he's kind of opened up a little bit of value on Corbin Carroll, who we've seen hit at every single level, who has that everyday role, who's going to be batting atop of a very underrated lineup. There's some shops where he's, moved to plus 500, where he was plus 300 pretty much everywhere, plus 250, plus 300 before all this Walker stuff. So, I mean, if you can get a plus 500 at a Caesars, I kind of like that. Just looking down the board, I think that there's sort of a dead zone in that, Vargas is going to have a lot of opportunity. He can win this thing. Tovar's going to have a lot of opportunity. He can win this thing. I don't like either of them to win it. Senga, kind of like a Yoshida, where he's coming in, he's got that experience, he's going to have that spot in the rotation. But I mean, we talked about this on our last show with Spreadopedia, and we saw what Spencer Strider did last year, basically as good of a season you could possibly have for a rookie pitcher, and he didn't even win the award. So what do you have to do to win this as a pitcher? So I'm not really willing to buy in there. I don't mind if you're like going way down and like maybe looking at a guy like Jared Schuster, who's going to start in the rotation. You know, maybe he can stick with the Braves at like 50-1. But again, like it's the same thing with the pitchers. Brandon Pfaadt's another exciting name who maybe, you know, comes in like late April and pitches for the Diamondbacks. But I think that again, both these AL and NL this year are very top heavy. Normally you can find a lot of value, and I'm sure in both leagues, someone is going to come from out of nowhere like we see every year and, you know, shoot up the odds board and, you know, be right among the favorites. It's going to happen if you can, you know, spot it quickly and get in on that. Great. But for me, the value is still at the top right now. And it's hard to back anyone who's not going to make the team and, you know, see them, you know, with a month less production, have to keep pace with Corbin Carroll and Jordan Walker. Going to be tough. Going to be really tough.
Yeah, that's like simply like a non-negotiable for these the Rookie of the Year awards. You kind of need them to be playing every single day, and you need them to be like on the roster at the start of the year, right? So, Joe, you agree with Alex on those two guys, Carroll and Walker? Or you looking at someone else maybe because they've been flying up the board? I guess anyone else for value?
Yeah, I think those guys are the picks to make in terms of value. I don't mind Miguel Vargas, 7-1 right now. In terms of opportunity, in this Dodgers lineup, I know the boys aren't very as high on a lot of people on the Dodgers here, but he could find himself in an excellent position. He gets off to a great start, maybe gets bumped up the batting order a little bit, you know, potentially to have some good hitters behind him, a couple good guys ahead of him there. Vargas at 7-1. I think that's an all right bet as well.
Awesome. And John, we'll finish off with you here for the NL Rookie of the Year. Any thoughts on the award as a whole? Like you like Corbin Carroll? I know he shot up in your rankings recently. So any other thoughts?
I was just drawing up my futures ticket. I'm going to have mine printed in probably tomorrow or the day after. I absolutely love this one because there's a bunch of players that I like at the back end. Although you have to kind of understand that you're fading the chalk on this one. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're touching Jordan Walker now. You kind of missed the boat. I wouldn't even bother. It's from the trading floor. We call it irrational exuberance. It's just gone too far. The funny thing is Corbin Carroll, that was juiced up to begin with good reason, because again, like I mentioned, he's already been up. He's already in a prominent role. He's going to begin, and he's had an offseason to prepare, having seen the speed of the game at the highest level. Now he's the value, go figure, because I saw Carroll move from what was plus 300. I've seen him at plus 500 now, where Walker is the favorite. He just should not be the Walker as the favorite is betting money pushing that. That's not like nothing's changed. Right, mm-hmm. He's still kind of a strikeout machine at points. Again, you nailed it. We're not trying to bash Jordan Walker. We just asked for a lot of these young men. He's never even played in AAA before. So I'd be scrolling down to the bottom. Again, I like to go where the hitting is at. Spencer Steer was going off at 25-1. He's going to be the starting third baseman, playing half of his games in an absolute pinball machine. They have no competition for that lineup spot, so he should be batting third or fourth every single day until they're sick of him, right? So if he gets off to a good start, remember how I talked about numbers moving? The 25-1 numbers are the numbers that also move. If Steer comes out and hits 3 home runs in the first week, that number is plus 215. You're like, what happened? I can't believe I missed that. So you want to get your pieces down while these numbers are still really, really out there. So I have a little ticket brewing. Again, I'm going to put the deal sets together. I'm going to print it tomorrow. I saw guys that I have that check all those boxes. Garrett Mitchell for the Brewers at 40-1. I saw Bryce Terang at 40-1. Both of them made the team and getting the nod, I think. I saw James Outman for the Dodgers at 40-1. This guy went bananas last year. Check this out. He hit 295 in the minors, 101 runs, 106 ribbies, 31 home runs, and 13 steals. 550 plate appearances. He even put in a full season. He went absolutely nuclear. So if the Dodgers find a spot for him, again, I think they know that they are analytic. So he made the team on a squad that we're saying is not very good. Well, maybe he's very good, and he's going to be part of a very good team. So Outman, I saw that number as high as like 75-1. So like these are the players I like, because you can play them all, right? You don't really have to be too selective. If you have a bunch of 25-1 tickets, you just put the chips on the triple beam balance, and if any of them hit, right, then the whole venture is profitable. Again, I mentioned sustainability. It's boring. Everybody would rather, I don't know, they like handicappers with pink handbags in front of private jets that they don't own or whatever. I like to bet on stuff that I think is going to make money. And then my boy Wisniewski also, I think that number got sliced in half, unfortunately, after he got named the 5th starter. But it went from 50 to 1 to 25 to 1. Still beautiful. So 25 to 1. I know you make an excellent point about Strider, like an excellent point. So I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket of a pitcher. That said, I think he might be the best pitcher on the staff. And to go in line with the rest of my analysis, I think the Cubs outperform expectations, make a run at the division, and Wisniewski is part of it. Also, the Cubs are a marquee franchise. I know they're not really great right now, but they are media market. All that stuff that Joe said for the Red Sox, you can apply to the Cubbies. Like if you help the Cubs win on TV, and that's a big deal. You're going to be, on cereal boxes and stuff, which again might matter more than it should. But I think he has a chance to make some noise. So there's 4 or 5 guys at 25 to 1 that I think should just be in that upper tier, not favorites, because I get Carroll as the favorite. I get it. But I don't think that necessarily makes these guys 50 to 1. I think they should be more like in that 10 to 1, 12 to 1, because there was only 12 names, not 50. So, yeah, I think I like that ticket a lot.
Yeah, and make sure you shop around because I'm sure prices are going to be all over the board for some of these guys with longer odds at different prices. So, yeah, once again, make sure you guys are shopping around for this. All right, let's move along quickly to the AL Cy Young Award. DeGrom right now is the betting favorite, I believe, plus 532 at Pinnacle. When you got other guys like Cole, Cease, Manoah, I'm personally, I'm loving McClanahan. I'm loving Kevin Gausman to maybe win the Cy Young this year. But let's start with Alex. Who do you like this year in kind of that? Let's call it the like plus 1,000 tier, the 10 to 1 tier, and then do you have any like big long shots you might be throwing darts at?
So I've been great at betting pitchers who do very well and never win the award. They don't come close. They don't even finish top 10, but they have very good seasons. So, so I generally just burn money in this market. So I don't go too crazy. I like to buy in more so during the year, try and buy in right before the peaks and stuff. But I got Kevin Gausman as well. I got Kevin Gausman 20 to 1, Luis Castillo 25 to 1, Christian Javier, who I really like, 25 to 1. He's 25 to 1 at Bet365. I think 20 to 1 at a lot of spots still. Circa down to 11 to 1 too. So I mean, that says something too, right? That says something right there. My long shot in the AL, George Kirby. You can get 75 to 1, and I love George Kirby. I think he can be the best pitcher in a very good rotation. And if that's the case on a team that maybe gives the Astros a run and wins that division, the narrative's there. He'll have a strong claim at it. So I don't mind that. But yeah, those are the 4 I kind of went in on. But again, not like uber confident in these picks right here.
Yeah, fair enough. And thank you for telling us who exactly to fade.
There you go.
But John, actually, sorry, Joe, you have anyone you like here up in that upper tier? You looking at any long shots? What are your thoughts on this award?
I think you're nuts if you're taking DeGrom as a favorite here,
Yeah.
plus 550 to win the side. Are you kidding me? You're nuts. He's going to be great when he's out there, but how often will he be out there, right? So that'd be a real concern, a big stay away. I don't know who's making that bet. I like Shane Bieber sitting there. I see him at plus 950 right now. He's a guy that's done it before. He's a guy that's going to be chasing a big contract here soon, so he can make a pretty big case for a big payday if he adds another Cy Young to his trophy case. I love McClanahan as well, pitching for Tampa Bay. And Luis Castillo, I thought he was fantastic coming over from the Reds. Sometimes you're concerned about that. You see a guy, you hear this thrown around the NBA a lot, good stats, bad team, and you worry that guy finally moves over to a good team, and you wonder, if that will transfer over. It absolutely transferred over for Luis Castillo. So I think he's a good bet. As for Gausman, as a Blue Jays fan, I'm concerned about them moving the fences in here for their starting rotation. It might inflate some of their numbers a little bit. But, yeah, I hope Gausman wins it as a Blue Jays fan. But, yeah, if I need to pick one, I would go with Shane Bieber.
All right, I love that. And, John, any thoughts here? Same question for you. Any long shots you like?
Yeah, well, I think they should all be long shots. I think from a strategic standpoint, considering how frail pitchers are, I don't really want the favorite. And again, me, sustainability, beating the dead horse. I want the longer odds to help me build that ticket where everyone is a possible winner. Because to me, that's the way to do this. You find 5 or 6 guys, You weigh out that bet with R, like I said, reverse engineer that number to whatever percentage works for your bankroll. Because again, you shouldn't have to be hamstrung. You have to bet 100. You have to bet 1,000. You don't have to bet anything that you don't want. You bet what works for you. That's going to keep you in the arena, because that's what really matters more than anything, right? Not depositing every 5 seconds. So I generally stay away from the top no matter what. Like you saw that with the other odds, even Rookie of the Year. I'm just kind of fading the chalk. I don't think that's how you get there in these games. I don't think that's how you do it. So for me, I like to build a stable of guys that I think need gas. Like, you need to really kind of be electric. You mentioned a few of them already. My guy is really Sugar Shane McClanahan. He is just absolutely ridiculous. People are kind of dinging him for, I don't know, he missed a couple games last year, but he came back. And I don't, listen, trying to predict injury is going to get you in trouble. Even in my baseball writings, I've been calling it the Christian McCaffrey principle. Okay, we've been told this certain player can't play. It's impossible. It can't happen. The guy went out and put up 17 games in your face, right? And the player you were told, who hadn't missed a practice since high school, the guy to take because he's so safe, he missed 3/4 of the season. And so forget injuries, people. Forget injuries. Now, it doesn't mean I disagree with Joe. It doesn't mean I think Jacob deGrom is making 33 starts. I'm just, because remember, he's injured now. He's had problems now. So that, I don't know the answer. I just try to be consistent, because I think that matters. So McClanahan came back and threw 99. And if you're into all the weird, nerdy pitching diagnostic stuff, the vertical movement was sick. Everything was in point. McClanahan was absolutely ridiculous. To have that kind of strikeout ability with that type of ability to induce ground balls, he has a chance to just run away with this. He could be just absurd. I really like him. Besides that, it's guys you mentioned. I think it's Christian Javier. I actually like Framber Valdez. Also, I know people are giving him a proper ding, perhaps, because he's known of giving up a lot of ground balls, which he does. But what I saw was a pitch mix change that got him away from all that contact, and his K rate was actually more like a 27.5 in the second half, which is a strikeout pitcher opposed to the 21. So I think with some of the velocity improvements we've seen and pitch mix changes, Valdez has a chance to run at it. Robbie Ray also. And then, I had one deep down. It's Joe Ryan is one guy I like a little bit deeper down at 50-1. That's just a pure misprice. Joe Ryan is a legit frontline starter. I'm not sure. Again, I know he creates some confusion for myself. He can be a bit difficult to analyze. He's got a very weird fastball. He has like the lowest release point in the league. So because it comes from so low, he creates a difficult vertical angle to match to hit home runs. Like, not to get too nerdy, but again, that's like the underpinning of this stuff. So give me Ryan. I don't think any of the true long shots can win it. Like, I think, again, you need a certain amount of prestige. But young guys I like, man, give me Reed Detmers at 100-1. That's like my homie, man. He looks so damn good out there on a game-to-game basis. Sometimes I feel like, why can't he win? Why can't he? And if you really want to go all the way back, it's my boy Matthew Boyd, 200-1. If he comes out and looks electric and is putting up a 13.5 K to 9, we've seen it before. I don't think it can happen, but 200-1, a bit long.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned those earlier, those two Houston Astros pitchers, the basket of Valdez and Javier, just because
filth.
Luis Garcia 100-1 too. I mean, you can buy in on any of these pitchers.
Right. The odds are just so incredibly long, so long. And again, you're investing in the organization, right? The thing that I'm talking about with Valdez, I always like Framber Valdez. But the change that I'm referring to happened in season, meaning they had a great pitcher and were not satisfied. They were working on mechanics. He tacked on velo. They added the cutter. He's moving the location up in the zone to try and induce more whiffs. Maybe they knew the shift was going to change. They had to get away from that. So, again, I'd rather have my money with the good teams that know how to get the most out of guys.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. That was some solid analysis from everyone here on the board. Last award we're going for here right now. Actually, excuse me, I skipped over the National League Cy Young. So let's go over the National League Cy Young Award. Betting favorite right now, Sandy Alcantara, plus 452. Corbin Burns, other guys like that, around that plus 500, plus 600 range. Joe, let's start with you. Anyone you like in that like up front range, or you looking at guys like Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Spencer Strider, and that plus the 10-1 range and a little bit longer?
Yeah, I like guys in that 10-1 range. I take a look at Spencer Strider. I think he has the potential to become an absolute superstar. We talk about the narratives and guys, the highlight reels and whatnot. If you look at all the double-digit strikeout games that he came out of nowhere and just stacked up last season, he has an opportunity to be the lead on Sports Center on a lot of these slow sports news days here in the summer, right? So we could see him really break out and become a big superstar. Aaron Nola is a guy who's chasing a big contract. That's something else I always like to target. And we talked about Dustin May not too long ago, 60-1. Now we have seen guys, the Dodgers, out of nowhere, Tony Gonsolin last season, Anderson last season. It wouldn't be out of nowhere for May because we expect big things from him, but maybe he's more ahead in his development than we might give him credit for. We might think, and at 60-1, not a bad bet.
Yeah, I like those long shots too. Like I'm looking at James Tyton for I think it's 80-1. You can find him, probably find him a lot longer. John, anyone you like there in that shorter range, 10-1? I know you don't. I know you definitely don't like the guys up top at the top of the board.
I love this ticket. This is right behind the other one. I just love this ticket. I can't wait to print this one because it's mispriced. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what it is, but there are some pitchers with pure electricity. And I'm telling you, that's the thing that gets it, because I think that's what lights up the scale, because that's what gets the attention to win this award. It's subjective. So Joe mentioned one. I think Dustin May has all the goods. He also gets the Dodger bump. I think Hunter Green made an adjustment at the All-Star break, and he came out and was as if he needed more velo. He tacked on another 2 miles an hour. He was, I don't know if this is an objective measure, but he might have been SP1, like the SP1 down the stretch. So after he came out of the All-Star break, last 6 games, 1.02 ERA, 0.85 whip, 31%. Hold on, check this out. 31% K minus walk, not 31% K rate, which would be like, whoa, that's a lot of strikeouts. 31% K minus walk. He was quite literally the best pitcher in the league. He's going off at 50-1. Now, granted, there was only 6 starts. 6 starts is 20%. It's 1/5 of 30. So if he showed you he can go out and be the Cy Young for 20% of a season, I don't think he should be going off at 50-1 or worse. And then last off is the Jesus Lizard. Jesus Luzardo is at 100-1. He's as good pound for pound. That's how I do it. I like to look who is as good pound for pound as anyone when they're on the mound for 1 inning. Because, again, I don't know how many innings he can go. Remember, there was a time Pablo Lopez could never get your 100 innings. It would never, ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wheeler could never go 200 innings. Marcus Stroman would never not go 200 innings. And everybody's wrong about the injury stuff all the time. We don't know the answer. We don't know. So if Jesus Luzardo can give you 165 innings, he should be near the top of this board. He's as good as anybody on a per inning basis. But maybe it's the Marlin thing. Maybe it's the injury thing. Maybe it's a bit of everything, which makes sense. It just shouldn't be 100-1. There's certainly not 99 pitchers with his kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I always love those long tickets to take.
Yeah, of course, baby. That's how you do this.
Exactly. Yeah, Alex, you like anyone here at in that 10-1 range or in the long shots? What are you looking at?
In the 10-1 range, only guy I hit was Max Fried. I absolutely love his stuff.
That's
I think
play,
that guy he's just unbelievable. Kind of like he's not even old, right? So it's like almost like he just gets forgotten, but he's just so good and so consistent. I really like him, and as one of the only guys I like sort of near the top of that board. John talked about Hunter Green. Love Hunter Green. I know they hide all the good odds from you there in New York, John. So you can still Hunter Green. You can still get some 80-1 at 365.
Oh, baby.
80-1 at 365.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It can't be 80-1. I know Cincinnati's rough. When you have swing and miss, you can get around it. You can also.
That's the thing. Yeah. People knock him.
People want to Cy Young giving up home runs. These things happen.
People knock him for the ballpark, right? People knock him for the ballpark. But if you're missing bats, they're not hitting home runs on you.
Oh, he's so good. Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
80-1 is a smash.
Yeah. And then 75-1 at the score bet, depending on maybe you're limited some or whatever. You got options there, right? So Hunter Green is another guy. This guy's not going to win the award, but I haven't been able to quit him since he came into the league, and I'm buying the resurgence that he had a bit last year. Blake Snell, if he can stay in there, if he can pitch enough, you can get him 40-1, 40-1 at FanDuel, 40-1 at score bet. I like Blake Snell quite a bit too. So Dustin May was another great shout there. I think Dustin May definitely has the ceiling to win this. So for me though, my card, Max Fried, Blake Snell, Hunter Green.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on Dustin May there, and it's good basket we've put together here so far. But yeah, let's move on to the American League MVP guys. Clear favorite here is Shohei Ohtani, like just again the best player in all of baseball. But like you guys said, John, you don't really like taking these guys lower on the board. So like hit me with someone you like deeper. Like again, Toronto bias here. You can rake me over the coals for it, but I like Bo Bichette at 46-1. I know people probably like raising eyebrows at that because Vladdy, but like I think he's like I feel like last year people really were giving him a hard time, and yeah, like I think he's like again one of the best players in the league, one of the best shortstops in the league. So John, who do you like here?
Yeah, I was just looking at this ticket. Again, it's kind of hard. I haven't laid anything down because it's Ohtani's award to lose, like you mentioned. But for me, it's going to be superstar talent, really good teams, lots of spotlight. So again, kind of boring running themes. I like Vlad Guerrero at 14-1. Right, all the shine. You mentioned it. He's one of the best hitters on the planet. I think Rafael Devers for the Red Sox, I saw him near like 30-1 as well. He caught a bad rap for a post-injury slump. Man, we're really hard on these guys. If they don't play, they're made of glass, and we can't deal with them. If they try and play banged up and they're not at 1,000%, we don't think they're good anymore. Rafael Devers was tracking to be the MVP last year. Like I guess people, it's a long season, and I get it. But the first couple months, Rafael Devers was tracking to be the MVP, top 3 easily. So he should be right there again. He is downright phenomenal. I can't believe I saw him at 28-1. There's no way there's 27 guys that roll with Rafael Devers. Not even close. It's not even close. And then Kyle Tucker, who I really like that I've added, believe it or not, after the Brantley injury happened, Kyle Tucker, remember, anytime you move somebody up in the batting order, you have to add, let's say, I don't know, 35. It's like 28 to 35 plate appearances, I think. So for some reason, they were married to him batting 6th. But now with Brantley down, he's going to get some extra looks, and that put him over the top for me. Tucker, with a full complement of plate appearances, is an MVP candidate. You know, he's going to be top 3rd of an awesome lineup that he could be in line for 100 ribbies, 100 runs, 30 homers, and 30 steals. Like, yeah, he could be awesome on a defending champ team. So, yeah, I like Kyle Tucker also.
Yeah, on top of that with, Altuve hurt there too. It helps him out there.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, right. A free pass to the front of the line. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, Joe Osborne, anyone you like here at the AL MVP spot, like Ohtani's obviously the guy up front, but yeah.
I always think you're nuts in Major League Baseball if you're betting the favorite to win MVP. How's that worked out betting Mike Trout the past couple of years with him getting banged up? You're getting him at like plus 150. Like, just a total waste of money. So no guy, like even Aaron Judge, the injury history there. Julio Rodriguez, he's fantastic. Maybe a little bit too much hype here. You know, we all love the guy, fun player. But I'm going to go deeper down, and there's 2 guys that really stand out to me that I think are being undervalued. Where is he here? Alex Bregman, 60-1. This is still a young man. He's still on the right side of 30, and he's putting together what could be a Hall of Fame resume. And, you could argue that he's absolutely still in his prime. So at 60-1, I think that that's a pretty good price. And in a similar ballpark, in terms of pricing, I guess you could say Corey Seager, 45-1. It's a guy who's coming off the most home runs he's ever hit his first year in Texas. I know the batting average and stuff wasn't very sexy, and Texas was a bit of a letdown overall, but I think that's a guy that could really fill up the box score and put up some good numbers as well. So if you're looking for a little bit more value, kind of decent sized long shots with big names, guys who are excellent players, I think those guys are both being undervalued.
Yeah, I like that. Two guys on the Astros already. Moretto, who you got here?
Joe, we finally agree on some things here. Corey Seager, I got some Corey Seager too. I like that quite a bit. It kind of goes against my fate of the Texas Rangers this year, but Corey Seager has been unbelievable in spring training. He is just destroying the cover off the ball. He's got great protection in that lineup. He's got a very good lineup around him. If the Rangers are able to surprise and he's at the center of that, he'll have a good shout at this award at 45-1 right now, FanDuel, 50-1, Bet365. I don't like to go too crazy in this market though, because again, this is just like pure Ohtani right here. I don't want to bet into his market too much. Only other guy I took a little bit of a flyer on. The path is a bit difficult for him winning this award, but if the Royals are really able to take a big step in, not the strongest AL Central, maybe they get what they need from Pasquantino. Maybe, Sal Perez is able to kind of have a bit of a bounce back here. And Bobby Witt leads that. If Bobby Witt can really lead that team towards maybe like a playoff race or something, puts up, 30-30, hits for a high average, there's a path there at 100-1, where I don't hate it at that number, grabbing a bit of a flyer.
Yeah, and it really just takes a guy like Judge last year to just go absolutely like nuclear to try and beat out Ohtani here. But let's move on to the NL MVP here. Anyone you guys like in particular? It's obviously a lot more open. No Ohtani in the NL. Juan Soto looks to be the betting favorite from what I have right here, and then Mookie Betts close behind. Joe, you want to kick things off here with the NL MVP?
I like Manny Machado, 15-1, still right in the thick of his prime. He's going to be right in the thick of an absolute stacked 1, 2, 3, 4 in that Padres batting order. He's a guy that doesn't miss a whole lot of time. There's not a whole lot of bets I love here. You go further down, you see a guy like Francisco Lindor. Can he get back to what he was doing with Cleveland? Maybe. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to. But yeah, Machado, I absolutely love him at 15-1 there. I mean, ahead of him on the odds board, you betting Tatis at 10-1 to win the MVP. He's going to miss 20 games right off the bat.
That's crazy.
You're nuts. So yeah, Machado 15-1 is my favorite in the National League.
Yeah, that's a good price there. Moretto, anything you like here on the board?
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. I just got two. Ronald Acuna at 10-1. I think Acuna kind of hampered by injury last year. Obviously didn't start the season with the team. Guy looked incredible in the World Baseball Classic. I think he's just primed for a massive year, full season of games. No reason to believe he'll get hurt. I'm not too worried about any injury risk there. Really like Acuna at 10-1. And then I teased it earlier. Look, you don't bet 130-1 expecting to win it. O'Neal Cruz, with a guy of his talent, I know you're playing for the Pirates and whatever, but division sucks. He's unbelievable. There's just like an outside chance. You're betting that because that should be like 50-1. He's not going to win it, but there's a chance, and it's not 130-1. I'll tell you that much. So I like that 130-1 at FanDuel, 125-1 at Bet365. I think there are much, much, much worse bets you can make in this market than O'Neal Cruz right there.
Yeah, I love those long shots. As I keep on saying here, Laghezza, who do you got for us here in that deep down the board?
Yeah, I think me and Alex are simpatico. Me, it is Acuna, but it becomes very difficult to choose between the different Braves because I might like Austin Riley just as much, and now Matt Olson is making a spring training case for MVP. I think he has 8 dongs already.
33-1 too on Olson.
I'm not sure how that works. Again, we're talking about the awards; they're subjective. Like, how do people choose between 3 guys on the same team? So I don't know. You could make like a Braves pack. And if one of the 3 of them get it, you could turn into a profit. I've had trouble getting money down. Funny, Alex was up in my spreadsheet because I have a few bucks already down on O'Neal Cruz. Again, you're looking for who's got the tools, who's got the ability to break the game, because that's really what you're talking about doing. Remember, Alex Rodriguez was winning MVPs for the worst Texas team you could imagine. It's not outlandish. These things have happened before, and he might be the toolsiest player in the world. I mean, it's without exaggeration. You figure Stanton has like 9 out of 10 of all the hardest hit balls by any metric you could find. But this one rookie has the hardest hit ball ever. He's hitting he hits as many balls out of the stadium as he does at just land in the seats. I mean, it's really kind of otherworldly. We really haven't begun to process this yet. So that's someplace that I think you put it. Because again, 120-1. If things click for him, he's a 40-40 player. You know what I mean? And that's how you do it. Like, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Sorry to interrupt, John, but with defense too, which matters for this award. With defense.
You're right. Yeah, he's a freak. He does it all. Right. He literally does it all. He's got the strongest arm. He's the fastest. He hits the ball the hardest. And we're just like, well, he's on the Pirates. Okay, look, that's kind of fair. But he's also weird. He's got nailed as this, like he's a batting average disaster. Yo, the guy hasn't played yet, man. I really don't like when we do that. He was a 290 or better hitter for years consecutively in the minor leagues. That doesn't make him a 300 hitter to bigs. But it also doesn't mean his 250 plate appearances at 230 makes him a lifetime 230 hitter. That's one of the worst things that people can do forecasting, is focusing on the smallest sample and trying to draw from that. Yeah, again, it is the ultimate long shot. I get it. But this board's kind of gross, and I think it's going to end up in that Alonso, Riley, 10-1 pack, in that section up there.
Yeah. Gross board across, but again, like inject these long shots into my veins. Just give me something to root for season long here for these players. But yeah, that wraps up the awards, guys. And appreciate everyone sticking with us through that marathon here. Before we sign off, though, I want all three of us or all four of us here to give us our ALCS winner, both teams in it and the winner, NLCS, both teams in it and the winner, and then who's going to win the World Series. So Alex, we'll start with you. Who you got?
I'll go Mariners over Astros in the ALCS, the Braves over Padres in the NLCS, and then the Braves over the Mariners.
Joe, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Blue Jays over the Astros in the American League. They're going to bounce back from the biggest meltdown in franchise history, the biggest choke in franchise history versus the Mariners. Last year, I have a little 5-year-old son, and he was sitting down watching the game with me, trying to introduce him to Blue Jays baseball, and that's what he has to watch. Oh, yeah, that was a moment of disgrace for me as a Blue Jays fan. But, yeah, I think that they can bounce back. I like them to get into the playoffs. And, a young team, I think that hopefully they can learn from that. Over the National League, I'm going to take the Dodgers to beat the Braves in the NLCS. Then I will take the Dodgers to beat the Blue Jays in the World Series.
Wow, Dodgers.
Better to introduce him to the Blue Jays.
It's a good introduction to Toronto sports for sure.
In the league,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, here we go. John, who you got for the World Series?
I think I have the Braves to win it all this year. So I think the Braves beat the Padres in the National League, and I think the Blue Jays beat the Mariners in the American League. So I was pretty close to Alex. We have like very similar at the end there. And then I think that's going to be an amazing series. But I think the Braves get it done for Toronto. Right? They've gotten close. I think it's the Braves' year. That lineup is just a bit too much to handle. Again, we mentioned depth. Soroka is like looming. He looks very sharp. They're really, by all accounts, and he was on the mound the other day, they're really pleased with the amount. They took all the time they needed for him. He's been gone for like 2 years. But remember, this guy hung like a 2.25 ERA during the Juice Bowl era. 2019 was such an anomaly. We're not even using it for analysis, and he broke the scale in the other direction. So they're going to add a piece like him. They just landed on like Schuster and Dodd, and all of a sudden you go, who? That's how you get to the end in this, because you need more guys than you've heard of. Ian Anderson is out there waiting somewhere. Huascar Ynoa is out there waiting somewhere. So I just think the Braves are just too deep. I think they're way too deep. And we're going to see Vaughn Grissom at some point too, right? To have a nice piece like that, kind of waiting in the wings. Yeah, I think the Braves just have too much going on.
Yeah, I love that. And I like how everyone except for Alex took the Jays. I'm also going to take the Jays here. Jays over the Astros, and then I'm going to take the
They broke my heart last year, okay? I can't buy in.
What kind of Canadian are you?
Just not built for Toronto sports. If only he followed the Leafs his entire life. Anyways, built up those calluses. And I'm gonna take the Braves over the Dodgers, and then give me the Blue Jays to win it all. Homer pick, I know, but yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. I know we got a marathon here of a long episode, but I hope everyone enjoyed it. And if you did, guys, please remember, hit that like button, drop a subscribe to us. We're gonna be bringing up a ton of content for you throughout the entire season. So again, for myself, Jason, for Alex, for John, for Joe, we're signing off.